I gave people all the stuff they really needed. Social Security checks, utility bills, TV guide.
I want a TV guidance counselor. TV guidance counselor. Staying up to watch all night, and everything's gonna be alright with my TV guidance counselor.
Hey everyone, welcome! It's TV Guidance Counselor, and I, as always, am Ken Reed, your TV Guidance Counselor, and it's June. It's my birthday month, so you get the gifts. You get all kinds of extra episodes this month. By all kinds, I mean like 4. But there'll be one more next week for my actual birthday at the end of the month. But this one is another great one. So this is a really fun episode. If you've heard me before on the Bothering the Band podcast with Abby and Ryan, this is Abby and Ryan from Bothering the Band. If you haven't heard me on that podcast, you should go check it out and check out all of their episodes. It's a special month for them as well. They hit episode 200, I believe, this very week. Amazing roster of guests, a fun, silly show, and I mean that as a high compliment. And this chat was fun, silly, and one of the best times I've had in a while. So this is really fun. They're, as I said, Abby and Ryan are really great. Hopefully you're enjoying these extra episodes this month. If you want to give me a little gift, you can go over to Patreon, patreon.com/TV Guidance Counselor. If you have $5 or more a month, you would have gotten the PDFs for all of the episodes that we went through this month, including the one that we're about to look at with Abby and Ryan. If you have $1 a month, that's cool too. Or if some people don't like to sign up for the monthly thing, hey, Venmo me, Kenneth W. Reed. Capital KENNETHWREID. I'm also tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com, ken@kenreed.com, at Kenneth W. Reed, and all the social media and all that kind of stuff. But, appreciate it if you have a little. It would make things easier for me, but if you don't, that's fine too. So anyway, enjoy. I know you will. Sit back, relax, and as I said, enjoy this extra June Ken's birthday month episode of TV Guidance Counselor celebrating 200 episodes of their podcast Bothering the Band. It's Abby and Ryan.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Live via satellite, I believe both in Florida. Yes.
Yep.
They're nodding yes. You can't see that. Abby and Ryan from Bothering the Band. How are you guys?
Fabulous.
Doing well.
It was not even rehearsed. You guys did that almost in unison. It was very well done.
Yeah, it's weird to be on the other side
It is
of
right?
this. Yeah.
Have you guessed it on any other shows before?
Yeah, we have a few. Brian Wecht's pod, Chris Zappa's pod.
Okay.
You know, there's a few, but we're mainly the people pushing the envelopes and what have you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the envelope pushing pod. Push pod.
Bothering. We're the ones bothering everyone.
Yes. So for people that don't know, you guys do the Bothering the Band podcast. Previously, the Bothering the Band, was it a column or like just we call it a column?
It was, yeah. Short-lived.
I appeared in the column and then I've been on the show. But you guys are on episode 200, right?
We're approaching 200, right, Abby?
In June.
That
Can't
is,
believe it.
I'd say congratulations, but having done that myself, it's a hell on earth. Congratulations. So many podcasts don't make it past, the first year. So, and it's a great show. And you guys have had like killer guests. Like I am consistently jealous of your guest lineups. So
Yeah, we're trying to get a big guest for the 200th, obviously, and no one signed on, but we've had a few people that will remain nameless right now, or we could tell you off,
Yes.
who have shown interest, but we're like, okay,
you could tell me and I'll just beep it.
well, I could tell you who's declined it, if I may. Andy Samberg just declined it.
Okay.
Jason Mantzoukas just declined it. Who else am I missing? We've reached out to a lot. Frank Turner is going to do it, but now we just got to move his, so it won't be 200.
The Boston guy, Frank Turner?
He's a British fella. He's like the British Bruce Springsteen.
I feel like he had
Punk
some kind of
rocker,
Boston
though.
connection, or was like living here for a bit. Maybe not, or just played here often, but...
I know he played there. Last time I saw, and Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, is he was like with the Counting Crows there or something.
No.
No?
He dated Winona Ryder. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah. He did the 50 states in 50 days tour a few years ago, and I think Boston was a stop on that.
I feel like when I was in the early 2000s, I feel like I saw his name often here, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. But who else did we reach out to? Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I've talked to Keanu about doing this show. This might be the first time I ever mentioned it on there.
We were very close, and it was with the release, Dogstar just had a new album come out, and it was everything was moving, and then just one more check-in from Abby, and they were like, he's now filming again, and we're like,
yeah. I don't blame
another
Abby.
Matrix or something.
He's out doing movies, friggin' movie star.
How dare he do his job?
Do you guys cold ask a lot of these people, or are you?
Yep.
Do you have connections?
Nope.
It's just cold asking. That's what I do. I mean, I'm like 60-40 cold. I mean, it's the more you do, the easier it gets because people go, the joke I used to make when I would do the show in person is people would go, oh, I've seen these guests. They're not murdered.
Yeah. We have 100%, well, not 100% success rate if we get to the actual individual.
Never through the people. No.
Never through the people.
Except for British people, I will say.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this, I think.
Yeah, I think we
on
talked about this on yours, yeah.
Where they're just nicer. And Canadians, too.
Yes.
We have a ton of Canadian bands.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's fine.
So much so that we've started, depending on of course, the Canadian guests, we're the best Canadian music podcast in America.
How many are there?
Oh, it's 50%.
It's got to be at least 50%.
It's wild.
I had no idea. I don't even know if I could name 10 Canadian bands.
I'm sure you could if you really thought about it. And there's a lot of current indie bands coming out of Canada.
See,
Toronto.
That's where I would
Vancouver,
lose,
Montreal.
Because I'd be like Corey Hart, Bryan Adams, Alanis Morissette. I mean, these are artists, not bands.
Neil
Rush.
Young. Rush.
Yep. DOA.
Okay. Yep. I almost wore a DOA shirt.
Subhumans.
Wow.
What other Canadian? Oh man.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber, I suppose he counts. Yeah. What other musical artists? I mean, I'm not counting Alan Thicke, even though he does write songs. Well, not anymore because he's dead. But yeah, I'm sure I could come up with them later.
Arcade Fire.
Oh yeah, they're Canadian. Have you had? So Canada, England, and America. Have you had any guests from other countries?
Oh yeah.
Australia, New Zealand.
Nice.
France? I feel like we had France.
I think
Or maybe
so.
someone was in France when we spoke to them, so
yeah, I
I'm
haven't
going
had
to count
France,
it.
but 2 different guests I recorded when they were in Colombia.
Oh, wow.
Even though Colombia is supposed to be very nice and there's nothing untoward about it, both times I was like, what are you doing there? That's a little, okay.
Yeah.
Just me. It's just me. But so you started this, how long has it been? Like eight years since the original thing, or how long have you been doing the show?
Abby,
The
how long have we been doing this show?
has been 4 years. 3. This is our 4th season this year. You were doing the written for maybe a year?
Maybe a year, and it was one of those things that was pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic happened, and everyone started doing podcasts, and I had the column, and Abby and a group of friends said, you should turn that into a podcast. And I said, I don't know how to do that. And Abby learned how to do that.
And does it very well.
And does it very well. Yeah, so just a backstory, too, is Abby and I went to middle school together. We've been music friends forever, since she was wearing a Gavin Rosdale t-shirt and a puka shell choker.
I feel like the puka shell choker is attached to the Gavin Rosdale t-shirt. Like, I feel like those two things could not be separated. Unless you used glycerine.
Nailed it.
Have you ever seen Gavin Rosdale's acting in the movie Constantine?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just.
Good movie, bad acting.
Yeah.
you know.
Underrated film.
It is.
Fun fact, I played tennis with Gavin Rossdale once.
Did you beat him?
No. I went to the celebrity thing in South Florida, the celebrity tennis thing, and it was like him, John Lovitz, Timothy Oliphant, and they were like, who wants to come down and hit a few balls? And my hand went up, and they go, you with the beard. And so I went down, and I got to hit with John Lovitz and Gavin Rossdale, and then take a quick selfie.
Nice. So how did you find me to begin with to have on the column? That I was always baffled by.
Oh, great story. So when I moved to Florida, I started commuting for a job, and I was a little late to the podcast game, so I was going through a lot. Music and comedy podcast and movie podcasts, obviously. And it was, I think, Doug Loves Movies you were on.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the Boston one. And they talked about your pod. It's just right up my alley, and loved it. And so it was one of my weekly commute pods.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, between Douglas Movies and Dana's pod, I think that's like 90% of my audience there.
Yeah, that's great. I just the whole vibe I loved, and it's one of those things, and Abby can attest to this, where it's like we think we're pop culture geeks until we hear you talk. We're like, okay,
Then you realize you're functioning human beings.
I mean, we're on the spectrum. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, you brought this up about how, like, during the pandemic, everyone started podcasting. We're at the point now where if you want to buy high-end audio gear at a deep discount, go looking now, because all those people are dumping some nice stuff online for real cheap.
Yeah, that's how I got these headphones off a Dead Guy.
Yeah, they're pretty great. His headphones actually say Paul Abdul on them.
Yes.
Also, Paul Abdul's a guy. Two scoops.
It's just a
here.
guy. It's my neighbor who's named Paul Abdul.
Yes. We're the Raisin Bran of podcasts. We got 2 scoops. So you picked an issue here. This is a special issue. It's the Parents Guide to Kids TV. Where are we? September 1st through the 9th, I think. October 26th to November 1st, 1996. That's where we are. So I imagine the kids TV thing is what appealed.
Funnily enough, not yes and no. Like, I didn't pick a lot of that stuff, but also the bright colors and cartoons on the cover definitely appealed.
I mean, that's what it's for. So the cover is the Nicktoons. So we're 96. So we're like 3 years into the Nicktoons, and this is Rugrats on the cover. It's a pretty cool drawn cover, and it's bright yellow, which is always going to stand out on a newsstand.
Well, it stood out to me from, like, it was the first one that stood out to me, and then going through was just daunting because you want to do them all, but we're 90s kids, and also inadvertently we picked, like I said, we went to 8th grade together, and I had moved in with my sister that year. My older sister, like, kind of raised me, and she made me switch schools to Abby's school. So literally not trying to do this, I think it's like the year we met. It's the beginning of the school year, and also it's also my birthday. So that's the day I turned 14 years old.
In Halloween.
And Halloween
Halloween.
Halloween issue, and then Abby turned 14 14 days before that.
Not even.
18. I don't know how math works. But.
Well, we could
It
do
is.
like one of those ESPN 14 for 14 things. 14 days before you turn 14. Did your sister make you go to that school because Abby went there?
Yep.
Yes, she was like, "There's this young lady with a Bush T-shirt."
Thank you for saying T-shirt.
Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. No, it's just she lived in a different county, and I moved in with her. And
This is down
it was
in
a new
Florida.
school.
We're in Florida.
Yeah. Proudly
Yeah, that's
Orlando,
right.
Florida.
Orlando, yes. Okay. Yes. Where actually in 96, there was a lot of stuff filming in Orlando, including a good amount of these Nickelodeon shows.
Not on purpose.
And all the boy bands were coming out then from Orlando as well.
Were you guys, like, at that age aware that stuff was, like, right there? Because here, like,
Yes.
I couldn't go to a mall without Marky Mark playing whether I wanted it to or not. Did that kind of thing happen down there?
I think so. Like, because, like, so around the same time, Nickelodeon had all those game shows, right? we both have friends that were on those game shows. I have friends that tried out for some of these TV shows, like Clarissa Explains It All. A good friend of mine was like number 2 in line to play the brother in that show. So for me, it was there. And then once we got a little bit older and into high school, my friends started being like in the videos, the music videos for like all those boy bands. So I always knew it was there. I don't know. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I was hyper aware because I couldn't do anything about it. You know, I was like,
Is that positive or negative? I can't tell.
well, no, just because like to be on a TV show in my like world was such an impossibility. And then it was later where I met like my friend Kyle, my friend Mark. We were like, I was on Legend of the Hidden Temple, and I was like, you bastards, you know.
And they were like, you just take the bus. It's right there. You just go there.
Orlando's big, so it's very spread out. But we were aware Nickelodeon, Universal, Disney was all right there. And then, like Abby said, the boy bands started doing things. And maybe like a couple years after this, you could go to like Virgin Megastore and meet. I have somewhere autographs from like Mandy Moore and Jessica Simpson, like the second tier pop divas or whatever we call them, pop princesses.
Mandy Moore from New Hampshire.
Oh wow, she went to high school in Orlando, and that's why And we would skip school and go to like the record store and meet these people.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to one of the guys that was in The Party.
Ooh, is it Damien?
No, it wasn't Damien. It was the redhead kid whose name is, I can't remember now. Oh man, I can't remember.
It's not Scott, right?
No, it's something like William, but with a weird letter, and so it's like Gilliam. It's something like where his name is.
It's William with a G.
Yeah, it's like Jason, but it's like, yeah, it's something like that. But he was telling me that, so they're in Orlando, they're filming at Disney World because they're all Mickey Mouse Club still, and Disney was like, we want this record to be big. So we want someone to produce it. Have I told you this story before?
No, but I am on board.
So they're like, what are you kids listening to? Like, what do you like? And, we'll get them to produce it. Because it's Disney. Like, obviously. And they're like, we're really into Dr. Dre. So they're like, okay. So they literally come into work the next day and they call them into the studio. And this is 93 probably. And they have Suge Knight and Dr. Dre in the studio. And these kids are like 14, 15. They're like, okay, guys, we'll leave you to it. And they just left them with them for like 3 days.
Okay.
That makes me so nervous for those children.
Yeah, like a literal murderer. And Dr. Dre.
And that's the first time they smoked weed.
Yeah, whether they wanted to or not.
Yes.
He's like, we had a good time. We didn't record anything.
Oh man, that's crazy. I was at a wedding one time and I saw this guy who I recognized and I was like, it was like bugging me the whole time. Then like at the end of the reception, it hit me and I walked up and I go, "You're Damien from The Party." And he goes, "Don't tell anyone," like that. And it was him, and we became kind of buds on social media. We'll have to get him on the pod.
He's got like an Isaac Mizrahi kind of look.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
It's like one of those. There's like some. I always say in Boston about. I would say 90% of the men here look like they're somehow inbred related to Matt Dillon. It's like. If you look at Dickie Barrett, he's like, that's a good example. They all get this weird Matt Dillon adjacent thing. So I imagine there's also a group of people that are in this Isaac Mizrahi.
They look 40 when they're 20.
Yeah, and have high hair. There's like there's a very specific look they have. There was a guy. Do you remember the MTV show Buzzkill?
Of course. It was in our thing. It was in our issue.
Oh, it's in here. Oh, we'll get to it then we get to the issue. So let's jump in here. There's some interesting articles. The Bob Goen, who replaced John Tesh on Entertainment Tonight, I think he's disappeared completely. This poor guy.
What do you know that we don't know?
Well, I don't know. I don't think he's on TV or anything, but like to be the guy, like they're replacing John Tesh, who is like the quintessential white stiff on Entertainment Tonight, right? Mm-hmm. So you're always going to be like the stepdad white stiff guy. And also you don't have a musical career. And, it's a lot of pressure. to be Bob Goen, you know, and I don't think he did anything else after this. I believe he came from sports.
And you don't have NBA on NBC.
Oh, he does NBA on NBC still?
Oh, well, John Tesh did it in the 90s.
Oh, yes, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says, like Tesh, Goen was once a sportscaster, but he never covered gymnastics. I'm like, okay. That's a weird...
It's creepy. It's creepy a little bit.
It is.
Not gonna
It is.
lie. But no, I don't think he did anything. I think it was just that, and eventually they were like, "You're a little too old for this, man. You got to go."
Do you think the headline in the trade paper says Bob went?
I hope so. I hope so.
That's what I would have written if I was writing for the Hollywood Reporter. He just conjugated his career. Speaking of people leaving, there's also an article in here about the rejiggering at Mystery Science Theater 3000 that happened in 96 because it switched from Comedy Central to the Sci-Fi Channel, and Trace left, and Frank had left the year before that. Mary Jo Pehl came in, and I remember being deeply, deeply interested at this at the time.
Yeah, I remember the change, but not like I wasn't as like in the news or in the know. So I was just like, wait, this is different. I don't like it. I was like, I'm off of it.
Right. You're like, who are these people? This is like a weird. I guess it's like, have you ever seen a foreign remake of a U.S. show?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's like that.
I agree. I remember because I used to watch it with like my friend's older brother introduced us, and he was like, "Oh, watch this." And I remember going over there one night and being really excited to watch it, and then they turned it on. I was like, "No, what happened?"
This is wrong. Yeah. Well, it's hearing about it later. The Sci-Fi Channel made them have a serialized story in the wraparound segments, which is terrible. But some of the best episodes are in that era. But it just wasn't. I think the sweet spot was like season 4 to 6, like Joel's last season into like Mike, and then Mike's second to last season. There is a musical contest in this issue. I don't know if you saw it. It is you can win a trip to England
I
by
did see
telling
that.
them the Tetley jingle.
Yep.
Yeah, the T I saw.
It's pure taste is T blank, I blank, a T blank, L blank, T blank, L blank, and Tetley T. Any guesses?
Jeez.
This sounds like it's right up Brian's alley.
Yeah, is there like let's mail all the ones with PO boxes, all the ads with PO boxes.
Yeah.
Let's mail those. Let's send him like some funky postcards and shit.
We can do that. So it's T 3 letters. Pure taste is T with 3 letters.
T.
Tops.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. It's like pure taste is tea in tea leaves and Tetley tea. I have no idea what the.
Tops. No.
I'm gonna have to Google the Tetley. Now I don't normally look stuff up, but I can't even figure it out because the letters don't work. Let's see.
You said it's T and then 1, 2, 3 blanks.
Yes. Tetley tea jingle.
Tops.
Let's see.
Top.
Let's see lyrics. I love those tiny little tea, but that doesn't work. And I'll never know what this is because they don't print the results of this contest in a later issue.
Oh, that's rude.
A trip to England, the home of Tetley tea folk, pure taste and tiny little tea leaves and Tetley tea. Oh, it's tiny little tea leaves. That's what it is. It says it right there.
Oh, okay.
What?
Perfect.
These guys also, I don't know if you can see the cartoon, but they're wearing like hairnets that are also flat caps, like if Newsies had mullets. It makes me think these two dudes have just like flowing locks that work at the tea plant.
Is Tetley tea still a thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is?
It's,
oh, wow.
the funny thing is, I don't even think it's like a British tea. I don't remember seeing it when I was there. It was not
You
one
think
of
it's
the
like an
brands.
affiliate of like Lipton? It's like one of those. where
Probably.
It's like under the big T.
I totally didn't even know this. On the opposite page to that ad, there's an article titled "Magical Mizrahi Tour," and it's a
Yes,
whole
I
thing
was
about
going to
Isaac
point that
Mizrahi.
out that he's in here.
He was in the Zeitgeist at that time.
Yeah, that's wild. And also, I just have a feeling this issue is going to have a lot of callbacks.
Yeah.
A lot of synchronicity.
That will make sense.
Yep.
So then again, we get the Nicktoons article. We also, a thing I've been noticing a lot lately, and been talking about it on the show more than I'd like to, but I'm going to do it again, is diaper ads. And I forgot
Yeah.
how many naked babies were on TV and in magazines when we were growing up.
Lots of naked babies.
There's some really good ads in this issue, including naked babies, if that's your thing.
People were totally okay with it. And then one day
Yeah.
we're just like, wait a minute.
Well, and now that Nirvana baby has been trying to sue them for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. I mean, I would too if I was him.
Yeah, I mean,
Was that,
That'd
did they ever sell like a censored edition of that with the cover censored anywhere? Like a Kmart? I've never
I
seen
feel like
one.
they had to.
they had to.
though,
I feel like
right?
Walmart.
Like
'Cause there's a
exactly,
dick on
Kmart wasn't going to sell that, but then they justified it by saying it was a baby,
Right. But like
and we see
Walmart's-
naked babies everywhere.
Yeah,
so it's
Walmart,
fine.
I know. At the time, people were like, no big deal. Because I got to imagine Walmart's like, we got a no baby ball bag policy.
One would hope, but
Well, I would hope
you
they
know.
did. But yeah, I feel like we'd see like they censored the Strokes album cover, and we had that like alternate cover.
Oh yeah, that's right with the butt.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Not even. It's like a hip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just a hip, high waisted hip.
Yeah, and they're like, oh,
Or high thigh hip.
full frontal baby, no problem.
Oh my god! I just want you and the listeners to know is that like before this, Abby was like, "Go easy, all right, with the dick jokes. This isn't our podcast."
Oh, sorry.
I did not say that.
It's been me the whole time. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, you're talking about Nirvana. That's probably when Nirvana comes up. That's probably the number one thing people discuss.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I interviewed the guy who designed that album cover.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like this is not even a good story, but I did another like article series with graphic designers, and I interviewed that guy and the guy who created Papyrus.
The store or the actual paper?
The font, the typeface.
Do you have a time machine, right?
Yes, it's. I wish
I went back.
I'd go to
ancient
96.
Egypt. Go back to-
1996.
Well, we have a printed time machine here. Then there's an article about Goosebumps, which you guys were probably the right age for. I'm 2 years older than you guys, so I think I was just too old for it. But I recognize that it's like beloved, but it always seemed lame. But looking at these pictures, it kind of looks cool.
But it had Ryan Gosling.
It did.
Yeah, and it was like Are You Afraid of the Dark was scary, and this was trying to match that.
Yeah.
See, that's what I watched. I think I was just a little like, I don't think I was too old. I just think I was too cool. I'm putting that in quotes for everyone who can't see me.
No,
I'm so happy you say that because I wrote that down. It was like and this is for you, Abby. I was not a girl, not yet a woman.
Thank you.
And like no joke, I was 8th grade, 14. So I on the surface I was like, yeah, punk rock and smoking weed, but when I got home I was like, I can't wait for cartoons. Like, oh my goodness, Nickelodeon cartoons and Goosebumps.
And
It's
that's
a
part
weird
of what
age.
appealed to me with this particular guide as well, is because it was right during that transition. Like,
Yeah.
they talk about, like, Alex Mack, we'll probably get there. But that was, like, the last of those shows that I was like, I'm going to watch this while no one's looking.
Yeah.
And Ken was 16, and he's like really cool.
I was
so
really
you
cool.
know,
I was all about Are You Afraid of the Dark. But it's funny because Alex Mack, there's a big thing about Larissa Olenek in here. And I know 16-year-olds at this time who absolutely religiously watch that show, but would try to be like, oh, you know, she's pretty hot. That's
Yeah.
what it is. I'm like, yeah, okay.
yeah, she melts. She's hot.
But I'm
you
like,
know?
the show's kind of good though, right? And they'd be like, yeah, I guess. No, it's also kind of good.
But yeah,
was a-
Goosebumps looks scary.
Yeah, Goosebumps looks scary. It looks scarier than Are You Afraid of the Dark based on these photos. There's like evil garden gnomes,
It does.
a little cross-eyed girl being menaced by a snake.
I mean, I'd be scared of that.
Yeah.
I read the R.L. Stein books. I didn't read Goosebumps. I read the Fear Street books. Probably too young, too.
Him and Christopher Pike, I think I was those are the Scholastic and Troll Book Club horror
They
books.
were.
That have. Speaking of rejections, I got one from R.L. Stein once.
Ooh.
And he said, I don't think I've brought this up before. His reply was, "This email's longer than my books."
Oh my God.
Nothing else. No, like.
Did you follow up?
No. I was like, all right.
I encourage you to follow up right after this and just be like, just really short. Hey, RL, want to be on the pod?
I should have replied like, "You right?" Books.
That's fun.
Yeah. So then they get into the top 10 new kids shows. Number 10 is Superman the Animated Series, which I love, is totally underrated. It's just as good as Batman the Animated Series. Same creative group. Never really comes up, and it's really great.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was my bread and butter. Those are the shows I was like, being like, oh, I got to go home and like, skateboard. And I would run home to watch Batman and Superman.
I'm going to sharpen my switchblade.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
gonna miss. But then a show I never heard of before. It's on the Learning Channel. 7:30 a.m. every day, and it's called Pappy Land.
Yeah, I missed that one, too.
It started as a Syracuse public access show. So it's a guy dressed as like an old prospector who draws with puppets Pappy Land.
Is that what am I thinking of? Who's the guy from Schitt's Creek who Life Goes On? Not Life Goes On. Chris
Elliott?
Chris Elliott. Man, I just totally blanked right there.
It does look like a fake parody show that Chris Elliott was and like as that guy. That
It does.
was not long lived.
Oh, wait.
No. I was like, I don't remember this at all.
Oh, it gets creepier. It says, twinkly 40-something Michael Cargiglio is the backwoods Pappy, a gray-bearded yet bright-eyed codger who gets kids scribbling, aided by a host of puppet sidekicks like Blinky the Brush and Doodlebug.
He is twinkly 40-something and a codger.
Yes.
All in one sentence.
There's your dating profile.
I was just about to say this is a
Better than fish pictures.
Yes. I'm a twinkly 40-something codger. I'd like to scribble with your puppets.
Oh man.
Perfect.
My face hurts from laughing already.
Did you guys watch any drawing? I loved drawing shows as a kid. PBS had a bunch, and I was like,
I mean, I watched a lot of Bob Ross.
yeah. But there
But-
was one called Cover to Cover, and it was this guy who would read a book and like draw scenes from it.
Oh,
And then there was
that's
this
cool.
one called Commander Mark's Space like Drawing Zone.
I would have loved that, but I have never heard of that.
It was pretty sweet.
Now they have a bunch of these like drawing things on YouTube that I will watch with my daughter and draw like jack-o'-lanterns and shit. But
Are they aimed at kids?
yeah,
Okay.
there might be other ones for adults, but I mean the algorithm only gives me what it gives me.
Children's content. We had a Boston one called Captain Bob, and it was an old sea captain with a really broad Boston accent, and he only drew animals.
Was he twinkly?
He was not twinkly.
Was he a codger?
I would say he could be considered a codger. He was definitely older than 40-something. He was on for like 30 years here.
Oh, that's magical.
It was
That's
pretty
just-
fun. You know, you'd send in the things. I never heard of half of these shows. There's also Dragon Ball Z, which I've never seen.
No.
Never once.
I had someone email me. I don't think they listened to my show, and they were like, "Hey, can you help the Dragon Ball Z community with something?" And I was like, "Absolutely. What could this request be?" And he wanted a listing. Apparently, there's some kind of fervor in the Dragon Ball Z community about where Dragon Ball Z first aired in the United States. So there was rumors that it was some Detroit channel, and so I found the Detroit issue of TV Guide from the week it was supposed to air, and I confirmed that it did in fact air on that week, and I sent them the listing, and the kid was like, "You just blown the lid off this like years-long Dragon Ball Z controversy." So,
Oh my god. Two things. One, I love that you're like huge in the Dragon Ball Z world and you don't even know.
I am a god now.
Something's being shared right this second with your IP on it. And how many weird emails like that do you get?
Oh, a lot. I would say
Yeah?
like 2 or 3 a week. Which is
How
kind of
many
a lot.
like Cartoon Express emails do you get?
Weirdly, don't get a lot of Cartoon Express emails, but it's funny. I'll get emails for like people will describe a show and they'll be like, "There's no way you know what this is." I watched it with my brother, and I'll have like written back to them what it is before I finish reading the email because it's something I know. It'll be like Mysteries of Science, and they'll be like, "I cannot believe I've been looking for this for 25 years." And I'm like, "Yeah."
So, I have a note. I don't know what your other guests do. Matt McCarthy, I don't know if he took a lot of notes. He seems like someone that would take notes. I wrote a note for Ken. There was a movie about a woman who gave birth to a doll. And it was kind of horror, kind of like... And I watched it as a kid.
Okay.
I was scared, and I have Googled that very thing many times. I can't find it.
I've never heard of that.
Well, this is the end of the road for that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know,
One of my listeners might know, but
Okay.
I'm wondering if it's like an anthology show.
Maybe.
You know what that reminds me of? You ever have someone you work with or someone be like, "I saw or I read this thing and I thought of you," and you got to see it or read it, and then you see it and read it, and you're like, "What the hell do you think of me?"
yeah, I hate it. It happens to me all the time.
All the time. This guy was like, "I read this book called Dog Walker." I was like, "Oh, Ken will love this book," and he gives me the book. Right? I read the book, and it's about this
Oh, wait.
dude who has sex with his dog, and the dog has puppies, 4 puppies and 3 tiny people.
No.
And I'm like, "What made you think I would want to read this book?" And it was like a humorous book, like it was a humor book, but it really creeped me out, and I hated it.
It was R.L. Stein, right?
It was R.L. Stein's book, Dog Walker.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that happens to me all the time with like certain shows and movies. They're like, you know what you would love? And then it's always the shittiest thing. It's like, Ryan, I know you. You would like Big Bang Theory. And you're like, I don't think you know me at all.
I've gotten that one myself. Yeah. Like, of course you watch that all the time. I'm like, no, I really don't.
Oh,
Really don't. We get Arthur. Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego?
yeah, I saw that too.
I don't recall.
I do.
You're skipping some Columbia House
Yes.
Video Club page.
7
Like,
movies
page.
for 1 penny each.
Yes. Did you ever do that? You
Yes,
ever-
all the time. Because 2 things. This was a great way to commit mail fraud and get free stuff as a kid. And second, they did not check age. So if you wanted to get barbed wire for a penny, you're getting barbed wire.
Oh, barbed
Nope.
wire.
Oh my goodness. We all committed mail fraud in our early teens.
Yeah, it was the first time I had aliases.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are some terrible movies. Did you guys do the movie club or just the music one?
I did the music.
Just the music. Yeah. I was blown away by I don't even remember the movie one. So like, I'm sure I saw it, but this was like, I spent so much time in this issue. I was like, ooh, I would get that, And again, Columbia House, there's a P.O. box. I want to mail them.
Because you really wanted to get yourself a copy of Amy Grant's Old Fashioned Christmas.
Yes.
That and 311.
Yep.
Yep.
Throw an Enya in there maybe. The only reason people own albums by the band Live is because of BMG and Columbia House.
Oh, absolutely.
They were at the top.
No one bought Throwing Copper for a suggested retail price.
My older sister
Not
bought
even
those.
their
Those are the
mothers.
ones.
Oh my god! And that guy Ed Kowalczyk or whatever, that was the lead singer, thought he was really cool, and he's just a fucking nerd. It's like, dude, you're a nerd. Lean into it.
I listened to a podcast. I forget which one, but it was with one of the guys, and like the crazy drama behind that band, like a couple years after, and how they were gonna get back together, and they all screwed each other over, and then one guy's like dead or something. I forget. Like it was
One guy killed the other guy. So now they've got back together, but they're called Dead.
they're called Dead. That's great. And they like didn't they have a dolphin song? Like
Oh yeah. Can you hear the dolphins cry?
Yep.
wow, that was good.
It's like, no, I can't. I don't. What are you talking about?
Your phone's gonna ring, and they're gonna ask you to be the next.
It'll be like Journey. Yeah, I'll have to grow my rat tail and get bad eyesight, worse eyesight, and get rid of shirts.
Shirts are out.
Shirts are out. No shirts. The video Columbia House things used to have this really cool thing where it would have like a page of all the video covers, and they'd be stamps like perforated.
Yes.
And you'd lick them and stick them.
And stick them. Yes.
Loved that, and I'd always get that. And what I would always do is I would get a big piece of poster board and I would make a video store.
That's
And I'd put them in
amazing.
categories on shelves, and I'd draw like yeah, that's what I did as a kid.
That's
I did that.
adorable.
Not that whole setup, but I played with those stamps a
amazing.
lot.
Yeah.
They were everywhere. I
Yeah.
stuck them on like notebooks, and remember you had to like cover your books in brown paper bags from the grocery store. I dry that cool S all over them with those
Yes.
things everywhere.
Yes. Oh, I loved it. And that's why I was disappointed with this Columbia House one, because they probably realized that's got to be expensive to do that.
That printing cost has to be so expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Bailey Kipper's POV. Nope. That was a CBS show. Never heard of it.
No idea.
Hey Arnold, of course. Arthur. We're in Times. Sabrina Teenage Witch. Kablam, which was fantastic.
Yep.
And then there's an article in here about VHS tapes for kids. So we have like the Wallace and Gromit and Magic School Bus, Pee Wee's Playhouse. Some classics.
Yeah, and all the ads for kids and advertising low fat fun.
Yes.
It's like fruit snacks and Totinos and
Lunchables.
Jello.
Lunchables.
It's like
Things I still eat. Go.
Oh man.
Just kidding.
I've never had a Lunchable, but I remember when kids would start bringing those to school, and they thought they were the coolest people on earth, and I was just like, you just brought a vending machine lunch. Like,
But they were so cool.
it's like gross
wanted
lunch
one.
meat. I guess.
oh my goodness. Do you know a comic named Matty Ryan? He was a Chicago guy. He moved to New York.
No.
He's a bud, and he has a great bit about how Lunchables are like what German kidnappers think of America.
Sounds right.
And I'm butchering it, but everyone look at Matty Ryan Lunchable. It is so funny. You should have him on the pod. He's hilarious.
Look it up. I have seen people do the equating them with the love of charcuterie and
Yes.
and Zoomers. The funniest thing here is so it's all this stuff about kids and kids shows, and then on the next page there's an ad for Norplant.
Yep.
So it's a 5-year thing that implants in your arm and is birth control.
Yep.
Oh man.
Like, you don't want to have to watch these shows.
Yeah.
You
Know your
upset
audience.
by Dragon Ball Z getting you down?
Don't worry about it. Then we got a great.
Wait, this implants in your arm?
Yeah, it was like, it went in your arm. It looked like a barcode. It was like little vial, like one per month
Like
for
a little
5 months
thing.
at a time. It had to be like cancer. I have not heard of it since the 90s, so I'm assuming it was some kind of horrific thing it did to people.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna Google that later.
Yeah.
I want to know
I
what
have-
happened to it. I
I
remember
have so
it.
much follow up, but I'm gonna move right past that one.
That's on the list, but it's not number one. And then we got Mr. Rogers, amazing. A really lame Halloween recipe from Cool Whip.
Yeah, weak.
Really
Honestly,
weak.
I was upset with it.
It's worms and dirt, which I always thought was kind of a garbage, like, food anyway. Like, it's just not that fun. And then they've made Cool Whip ghosts, and then they don't even look like ghosts. They look like Cool Whip.
They look
Yeah.
like yeah. They could also be the poop emoji.
They could. They could. This is a poor effort. This is, and they claim that the prep time is 10 minutes, and I don't even believe that.
I think they just mean for putting those little dots on them.
Yeah.
Those their
Yeah.
little eyes and mouth.
There's
You're squirt. And do you think they're dolloping this, or is this coming out of like the
Like a
the
piping
can?
bag? No, this looks
Ooh.
dolloped
Like,
because they're inconsistent.
again, I go back to like that ad. To run that ad must be so expensive. To create that ad must have been so
Oh yeah,
expensive.
they got a studio for a day and they photographed
Yeah.
this thing, and it's probably not Cool Whip. It's probably like caulk or something, so
Yeah.
that they don't melt. And yeah,
Oh yeah.
and it looks like absolute garbage. Also,
Yeah.
here's just a pet peeve of mine: when people make gravestones for Halloween, and they say things that would never be on a gravestone, like "boo."
yeah.
My grandpappy, the Twinkie Codger, he has boo on his.
Like, it's a gravestone. That's why it's supposed to be creepy. There's dead people. Like, it's not creepy because it says, like, gotcha. Like, woo. It says, gravestone says ghosts on it. Like, what?
Oh my God! Can we please?
Dead people here, and it just points
this,
down.
This counts as my last will and testament. I want my grave just to say, I don't know. Ken Reed can pick it. Actually,
Boo.
boo, gotcha. Ghost is also hilarious. Like a arrow.
Ghost. Ooh. Yeah. Like, it's a graveyard. That's what we don't need. Like, someone's like, I wish these gravestones were scarier.
I must draw this now.
Then we got this ad. If I had tattoos, I would get this as a back piece, and it's an ad for Totino's pizza rolls, which I don't even like. And it's implying you can cook them in your VCR.
Does your VCR not cook pizza rolls?
Did it cook pizza rolls?
Mine did. I paid extra for that.
Because their whole thing is like, hey, before you pop in the video, pop these in the oven. Hot, good. Game on video night? Oh, Gone on video night. But how many children do you think saw this ad and then shoved pizza rolls into their VCR?
Me immediately. Abby and I talked about it this morning. Like I was like, hey, like we didn't want
We
to
did.
discuss this, but I was like, the one thing we talked about, I was like, you see that Totino's pizza roll with in the VCR? I was like, that was cool.
It's a cool ad, but it's so poorly thought out because literally, as soon as you pitched it, someone would be like, it's going to make kids throw pizza rolls in their VCR, right?
Yeah,
was a
I love it
different
though.
Did you ever shove anything into VCR that wasn't a tape, like, or break some expensive piece of equipment at your family?
I don't think
There's
I
no
did.
doubt about I did. I definitely did. But I nothing that's standing out because it was probably only once, and I probably, all the head trauma, I don't remember it. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. The article about Pee-wee's Playhouse in here I thought wasn't that weird, but then I'm realizing it's 96, and this is sort of like a reevaluation where it was like, hey guys, maybe we were too harsh on him. This show's really good. Maybe it's okay.
Well, because isn't this right around? He did something creepy, right?
Well, no, and so in 91, so Pee-wee is also from Orlando, by the way. Paul Rubens, and he in 1991 he had finished season 5, I think, of Pee-wee's Playhouse, and he drove cross country, drove back to Florida, and he got caught in a porno theater,
That's what it was.
I
Yeah.
remember this. I remember all the punchlines.
which I was like, isn't that what that's for? Like,
Yeah.
what's
Exactly.
But they were always implying
Not for famous people.
Yeah, it was just. And he had been not in production of the show for a bit, so he had like a goatee and kind of long hair. And they were like, look at this
mugshot. Yeah. I also don't think you're supposed to, and I don't know this, but you're not supposed to do it in there. You're not supposed to,
Really?
I think it's
thought
just
that
for
was the
view.
point.
No, you're just supposed to watch, y'all.
And just
And then
file it
leave.
away.
And then five.
So when you go to a restaurant, you just look at the menu and then go home.
Well, I let them bring
At
it out to
Cheesecake
me
Factory.
and put it in front of me, and
then
then
you
I
leave.
go home.
Yeah.
Smell it.
Yeah.
That reminds me, also in this issue, there's a few OJ jokes.
Yeah.
Which is perfect because he just passed away. We're getting him again. We're stuck in a 90s loop, yada, yada.
What should OJ's gravestone say? Like, I did it.
I did it, yeah.
Point.
I did it.
For Halloween this year, I'll do a fake gravestone on my lawn with it.
Yeah, with a glove,
Yeah.
and I did it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect. It's
Oh
perfect.
my God. Yeah, so that was a good article, and then we get to the listing. So let's jump in here. Saturday night, and you guys have picked separately, right? So you may or may
We
not have
did.
picked the same thing. So we are on October 26th, Saturday night, 1996, week before Halloween. Ladies first, Abby, what'd you do?
Okay, Saturday night. I picked Top Gun. I'm going Top
Oh.
Gun for the whole 2 hours.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I love that movie, especially back in the day. It was one of those ones that was always on TV. It was probably going to come on TBS right after this.
Yeah, that are all the right moves, or they do double feature.
Exactly. And so I flip around at the commercials, hit some Comedy Central, but I went Top Gun.
Interesting.
Wow.
Ryan.
I am so surprised. Mostly because like I still to this day I'm a flipper. This is why I don't like apps. I don't want to go out of an app to another app and click 10 times. So like I might have to trim mine because I am a flipper. I started with the World Series, which was Braves Yankees. But the minute I saw Rock and Jock, on MTV, there's no way I'm not watching that. At this age or that age.
Because you're a massive Dan Cortez fan.
Dan Cortez, Roger McDowell's probably pitching or shooting, whatever.
Who was the guy, Alexi something, that would wear kilts, and I think he was a baseball player, but he also had a band?
It wasn't Dave Mustaine, right?
No.
Because he was always in those.
He was always in those, yeah. And he was always an asshole about it. Like, he'd be way too into it, and it's like, dude, it's Rock and Jock.
But there's always one guy who's way too into it. Oh man! And then like Abby, I also Comedy Central is just going to be a through line through this whole thing.
Ditto.
And because it's Young Comedians All Star Reunion.
Yeah.
I do
And
have
I
that
don't-
in my notes.
Like. Whoever the young comedians were in '96, I'm on board.
Well, it's a
you know?
reunion, so I think this is of the HBO series. So the Young Comedian special. This is Robin Williams and Stephen Wright here. So
Okay.
Rodney Dangerfield used to curate this Young Comedian special on HBO from his clubs that was on for about 10 years in the 80s. And, pretty much everyone you could think of in the 80s was in one of those Young Comedian specials. So this was sort of 96. We started to get a lot of like retrospective stuff about the 80s. Started around 96. So this was one of them. So this is Robin Williams, Stephen Wright, and it's sort of like reminiscing. It might have been for a charity, but I don't recall.
I can't wait till after this like comedy boom. There's going to be a retrospective of like Mark Norman and Joe List and shit like that.
They're in the Young Comedians. So, I remember, so like this is the thing kids will miss out now is we all had a home channel. Like the channel that you left the TV on, or if your TV reverted to like channel 3, you would instantly tune to. And I can my thumb still remembers 29 was Comedy Central.
29 was Comedy Central for us, I think, too.
36 was MTV here.
Yes.
Okay.
And 37 was VH1.
37 was VH1. 24 was Nickelodeon. So it was like between those three, and USA Network was 33. TBS was 32.
Yep.
Yep.
So it would always be like 29 was usually my home station.
Yep. That was my house
That's incredible.
And you'd go back there, like when you flipped, you wouldn't just go up and down. Like you'd go to something, then back to your home, then to something else, back to like, like, there'll always be something here I can watch for a minute.
It was bouncing back and forth, but then going through the middle, and oh my goodness, I love flipping. I can't wait till someone just bails on all this and we get cable back.
Because what do they use the last button for now?
I don't even have a last button, and sometimes I'm watching something and I want to hit last, but you gotta. Again, I don't want to dominate with just old man complaints here.
Although I know
apps.
so many kids who got dobbed in by the last button who were watching scrambled things on the channels. The parents would be like, "Oh, you watch that? No," and they'd hit last.
Yep.
It's like, guy, you
Oh,
gotta
man.
switch 2 channels. You gotta defeat the last.
Well, speaking of scrambled, right after Rock and Jock is Baywatch.
Yes.
Which I probably would have watched for maybe 15 seconds.
For the music, because there was always a
Yeah,
fun music video.
Always for the music. Yeah.
You know, 15 to 20 seconds, and then, you know, I was done.
Have you gone back and watched Baywatch, though? Because it is hilarious.
I have. It's
Cringe hilarious.
fantastically terrible.
Yes. Like, there literally are full music video songs in every single
And look,
episode.
right up there next to it, at least in my world, is always going to be Bike Cops on Pacific, Blue.
USA Networks. Yeah.
Absolutely one of my favorites. It's in here somewhere. I think it's
Yeah,
on my list.
It's on 9 o'clock. It's on opposite of Baywatch on USA Network. And this episode description is great. It's Victor Guard's a bouncy music television hostess.
It's perfect. Everything about it.
Yeah, Bike Cops was great.
was-
I am watching for sure Dark Skies, which was a show that I totally forgot about. But why hasn't that show been like re-embraced? Like that seems like a show ripe for streaming.
It really does.
I wonder what the music rights or something like
Maybe.
why it
I mean,
hasn't
so
been.
for people that don't know, it's a period piece. So it's set in 1963, I think, around the Roswell things. And this episode is a crazy one because it incorporates the Ed Sullivan Show. So this one is an intercepted radio message leads Leonard and Sayers to New York, where they discover that the Hive plans to use the Beatles' first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show to carry a subliminal message to millions of people. So there's literally people playing John Lennon and Brian Epstein in this episode.
Oh my God. This is why this podcast is so. I'm geeking out right now because, like, I imagine myself
that
driving
show.
and listening to this and be like, well, now I got to find this show. I wish I would have watched this show.
But it was a cool show. It was post X-Files. Megan Ward was in it, and it was basically it was like X-Files Mad Men. That's what I'd call it.
Yeah.
And of course, at 7:30 because we're Halloween week, even though it's outside the purview. Pete and Pete is on, and it's the Pumpkin Eaters episode. Probably my favorite.
Oh, fantastic.
Good call.
So good.
I also want to throw in SNL. I know it's way later, but Dana Carvey, Dr. Dre
Yeah.
is the episode, and it's probably weird and great. And second time we mentioned Dr. Dre.
2 people in that cast I've performed with. One was a great guy, and one was garbage. And that's
Can you tell us who the great guy
Tim
was?
Meadows.
Oh, yeah.
I bet. Oh, he's fantastic.
Tim
Super good
Meadows,
guy.
love
Was
it.
the only guy who actually did stand up before he was on SNL, so he had an act.
Yeah.
Just nice, humble guy. Then we have an ad in here. What is this? It's a plaque. So it's not a collector's plate. It's a plaque. But it's also a collection of plaques and a unicorn.
It is everything porcelain you ever wanted in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it probably, I can't really tell, but I'm sure they have cutesy little sayings.
I think they're precious moments. Yeah, this
They-
one says, "You have touched so many hearts."
That's so disturbing. And now, if you go, especially in Florida, because there are a lot, it's God's waiting room down here, the thrift stores are just filled with these. The plaques, the little figurines, because the people are dying and their grandkids are like, I don't want that shit. But I also recently had somebody tell me that the Funko Pops are the precious moments of our time.
Oh, totally. Although I just got that because I collect Grumpy Bear stuff, so I don't know if you can see that. But
fun.
this is Grumpy Bear Funko Pops, but it was wireless headphones, and they had it at Five Below for $5, and I was like, "These are cool wireless headphones."
You have to buy them. You can't not buy those.
I feel like a good video podcast video show for YouTube or something would be if like go to the thrift store, buy one of these pieces of crap, and then do like a little documentary about like what the hell it is and where it came from, when it came out. Like this thing, Starbright, it is meticulously handcrafted with iridescent and golden accents. It is actually 3.5 inches high. This is entitled Discover Your Dreams. You can purchase it at the original issue price of only $14.95. Limit one per customer.
What would they do if I sent this in?
I
Do you think I would get one?
The Hamilton collection, I wonder if they're still around. Like, I know that, like, the Franklin Mint is still around.
Also, the shipping is $3.48. That is very oddly specific.
Don't miss this chance to experience the charm of Discover Your Dreams.
Man, it's remarkable that, again, I working in like writing and publishing and knowing back then how much that whole page or 2 pages is worth is bananas, and how much like ROI did they get of like, I guess
They must have
lot,
people,
man.
because these
People
things
love
cost
this
what?
crap.
$1.
yeah, it's just a stuffed animal, correct?
No,
Like,
this
that's
is
all
porcelain.
that is.
So this is, let's see, I'll read you the
These are sitting on
description.
shelves.
This is richly hand-painted and adorned in shimmering iridescent gold accents. Discover Your Dreams comes alive with detail from his star-trimmed brindle to the golden hooves. By acquiring Discover Your Dreams, you will have the opportunity to preview other issues in the delightful Starlight Starbright Unicorn collection without obligation.
That is someone's aunt who bought that, and he goes, "It's not a toy. Like, it's on the shelf." Like,
It's the Columbia House model. So they go, oh, only $14.95 and $3.48. I can't wait to get this piece of shit unicorn. And then the next month they ship them one, and it's like $200.
Exactly.
yeah.
Also
Oh,
located
man.
in Jacksonville, Florida. The Hamilton collection.
Does that make sense? Does Jacksonville have a reputation of making porcelain crap?
They do now.
We're the porcelain crap capital of the world.
Perfect.
Oh, God. Pour some lint on me. Sunday. What are you doing?
Ryan,
Oh, me first?
I'll go if you want me to.
I'll go first because I'm going to skip around a little bit. So I'll probably start with Tommy Boy, and then, my brain saw rattlesnakes on Discovery Channel, and I was like, there's no way I'm not stopping on that. But I think the main clinker there is The Simpsons on Sunday. It's huge.
It's Treehouse of Horror, and it's a rare time when it airs before Halloween.
Yeah.
I picked that as well. But you got to start at 7 because it was a 2-hour.
It's a 2-hour.
Yeah, it was a
Lead up
2-hour
to
thing.
it.
And then also at 9 is MTV Unplugged. And so we have a music podcast. I love music.
And it was Alice in Chains on that episode.
Alice in Chains.
I picked that too.
My friend
So-
Jim, who Big Jim Murray, who's been on the show, I used to work with in radio, he was at that taping.
Oh, wow. That's
He
wild.
won tickets on the radio station we both worked at later. He was just a listener. He won tickets and went to New York and watched the filming of that.
That's my second favorite Unplugged.
First is
Of the
LL Cool
series.
J.
Obviously. But probably Nirvana.
Yeah, that one's decent. That one's decent.
It's okay.
Who's Nirvana?
There's some weird ones. Like, if you go look at all the
yeah.
Unplugged, there's some ones where you're like,
There's some
really?
super weird ones in there. And then they get into some like country stuff too. And I'm like, did they play this on MTV?
I don't remember this airing.
I did. I went through a list because I was like, I saw that it was Alice in Chains. I was just like, I just got to know.
There's a ton. There's like so much. There isn't a Tiffany one, but there's ones that are like Tiffany. Like, where you're like, really? And then it's like stereo MCs or like just weird stuff where you're like, what?
Get yourself, gotta get yourself, gotta. Can you imagine that like acoustic?
It's just a guy playing buckets. I remember, I feel like they always showed the LL Cool J Mama Said Knock You Out clip where he had the big deodorant cakes on his armpits.
That's unfortunate.
And I swear to God, the Bon Jovi one was just Dead or Alive 10 times in a row.
Yep.
And no one noticed.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah, but there's some weird cock rock bands in there too, because you forget that Unplugged started like the year before Nevermind came out. So it's like Slaughter Unplugged. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that. It's like, all right, man.
Did you call them cock rock
Yeah,
bands?
you've never heard the term?
You don't know that one?
I've never. Oh my
Are you
god, I love
serious?
learning new things. Yeah,
Wow.
I've never heard this before.
Wow.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Again, taking copious amounts of notes. Diligent note taking over here.
So good calls on those all around. There's a movie special on cable that night for Halloween, and it's Shadow Zone: The Undead Express, starring Ron Silver. And it's the first in a series of made-for-cable movies based on the kids' horror books by J.R. Black.
I don't remember those.
I wanted
No, I got
R.L.
nothing.
Stein, Mom.
Yeah.
J.R. Black, is that what you kids think?
We have R.L. Stein at home.
Yes. The film is introduced by the Reaper, a cemetery-dwelling spooksperson who explains the Shadow Zone is a netherworld where people encounter, quote, the fiends that live in their worst nightmares. For a teen named Zach, the Shadow Zone turns out to be New York's cavernous subway tunnels, where he meets a vampire called Valentine, played by Ron Silver, and finds himself up to his neck in ravenous bloodsuckers.
Oh, man.
Horror film director Wes Craven has a cameo. Literally says that.
How did I miss that one?
This is when Wes was hard up for work before Scream.
Right
and all
before
that.
Scream, yeah. Yeah, this is when
Yeah.
New Nightmare didn't do too well.
Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of rattlesnakes, what are the most dangerous animals that you have in Orlando? Because you guys get some weird stuff down there.
Human beings?
Yeah, that.
Meth heads.
But you got like weird bugs that fly, and I think you have snakes that fly or something down there.
Flying
Flying
snakes.
snakes.
Oh my goodness. I just love this segue. Speaking of rattlesnakes.
It would probably be the snakes for people.
There's a lot of
Gators
snakes.
if you're a little dog.
Because I know a lot of people. Is it a thing where like people had boas as like pets and then they let them out?
It was more like in South Florida, that's part of it, but also like during Hurricane Andrew, all the exotic pet stores that were super popular in the 90s got leveled.
What kind of stuff would they sell?
Everything. Snakes, gators, weird birds. We have iguanas everywhere. There's monkeys now running amok.
So your thrift
yeah.
stores are filled with precious moments, and your woods are filled with exotic animals.
So I'm in South Florida currently, and there are like massive iguanas everywhere. They don't like mess with people or anything. But I think like the perception of Florida is, especially back then, was like old people, alligators,
Rednecks.
Oranges.
oranges, and the party on Mickey Mouse
Yes.
Club. So
Do the iguanas? Because if you get a frost, they fall out of the trees, right?
that's the rumor. I have not seen them fall. I see them dead on the road a lot, but
that would make me sad.
yeah, that's the rumor that they fall out of the tree.
You know.
However, they're like invasive. They're not supposed to be here. So,
So they
And then
deserve it.
there's
That's what you're
then
saying.
there's this
Yeah.
story, but they're not dying. That's the thing. They're just frozen, and when it warms up, they come back. So there's this. I don't know if it's an urban legend or if it was true, but supposedly a man put a bunch of them in his car because he was going to take them home and eat them. And then they all came back to life when they warmed up in his car.
Yeah, that's the third segment in Shadow Zone, the Undead Express that you just described.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be known that I lived in New York for 10 years. I consider myself a New Yorker. All this Florida shit.
Well, it's fascinating to me. I've only been to Florida a handful of times, but I don't know what it was like to kind of grow up there and be a child there. Yeah. Sunday, there's also a hilariously bad sounding made for TV movie called The Secret She Carried.
Yes.
Good
yes.
God.
It's his baby.
Yeah. Featuring the song Fields of Gold by Sting. That says that on here. And and I apologize, I'm going to use the R word here, everybody. The ad says, he raped her. Now he's coming back for his baby. And then it says, featuring the song Fields of Gold by Sting. Like, literally, that's the ad.
Maybe that's what I was talking about. Maybe it's a doll that she gives birth to. And that's. I'm just kidding.
It was just a bad.
callback.
Maybe the thing you're thinking of was just a bad special effect. Like, it wasn't supposed to be a
Yes.
doll.
It wasn't supposed to be a doll in my child brain. And it's with that guy, Jerry
Jerry
Burns.
Burns,
From
yeah.
Cambridge, Mass.
Man, that guy was great in so many
I
things.
was watching something the other day he was in.
He's in Burn Notice, shot in Miami.
Oh, wow.
That was a good show. I enjoyed that show.
Love Burn
He
Notice.
sounded like a cut rate Dennis Miller in my brain.
Yeah, well, because
He
you're
just
thinking of him
sounded
being like
a-
Kirk on
yes.
on Dear John. Yeah. Oh, and then before we get to Monday night, there is a beautiful ad for crap. This one is the Matchbox Collectibles in Portland, Oregon. And it's just the Great American Microbreweries collection. And it's cars from specific microbreweries.
But are like these can't be real, right? I was looking at this. I didn't look them
Brewing
up.
in
but
Lexington, Wild Geese Brewing.
Wild Goose is real.
Cambridge,
yeah.
Maryland, San
I
Antonio.
just love that people like they're like, I need this.
Yeah.
Right.
I love beer and tiny cars.
Please tell me their PO box is Florida as well.
No, it's Oregon, Portland.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Finally, I can have artisanal beers in my Godzilla diorama.
Godzilla in Portland. It's like Portlandia. Godzilla.
I also love that Matchbox says crafted by the greatest name in diecast.
oh yeah.
Who's gonna? Are people gonna be like, I challenge you?
Yeah.
I am the king
That's-
of diecast.
This is like around the time they like Hess trucks and shit.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
Hess
lots
trucks.
of
They still sell them every year. Hess has not been a company for like 10 years, and they still every Christmas have like a new Hess truck.
Oh, dude, we got to get those. We got to get TV guidance counselor like diecast trucks.
Diecast trucks. Yeah, I have one somewhere.
this.
Because in thrift stores, which I go to often, they always have them promotional trucks for like local, usually supermarkets, but they're often defunct businesses. And I'm like, where do these come from? Like, kids didn't buy these. Like, were these given to people who worked there? They're always in the toy section, but it'll be like a Bradley's truck. And I can't imagine being like, you've been with the company 20 years. Just for being here, part of the Caldor family. Here's a diecast truck that says Caldor on it.
I think they happily accepted that because those people also got fat Christmas bonuses.
That's true. And probably had pensions.
You know?
Yeah.
They were like,
And-
thanks for the truck.
And they were like, someday, along with your kids' Beanie Babies, this is going to be worth $500.
Yes, this is your college right here.
This is your college.
If you can't get into college with this, you're going to the school of hard knocks. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Monday, let's see what you get.
Abby, you go first.
I picked the whole 2 hours. And I picked PCU.
PCU.
And if
I'm so
Ryan
happy.
didn't pick PCU, I would be mad.
Not only did I pick PCU, I was so excited to drop this nugget of information. And I'm sure your listeners and yourself can know this. Directed by Ellis from Die Hard.
Yes.
Which is an insane thing to me. Oh, man. I love PCU. It might get a bad rap, but there's not a week that goes by that I don't quote to my daughter, go to sleep. It's Jeremy Piven yelling at David Spade's character.
The Don't Be That Guy is
Don't Be That
probably
Guy.
the most
Oh my God.
enduring legacy of PCU.
Absolutely, which we've debunked on our podcast because we've asked musicians, how do you feel about audience members wearing your shirts? And they've all been like, why would we not like that?
Yeah.
Like, we love that. We want to see more of it.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
a weird. Yeah, that movie's so strange because when I hear people now complain about like woke and blah blah blah, I'm like, you realize this is the same complaint about political correctness from 35 years ago, to the point
Yeah.
where there's a movie from 1994 about this very
A
thing
great
that
movie.
Comedy Central runs every other day.
Oh, it was on all the time. It was just like
time.
so great.
And
Such
now
a great
you can't
cast.
find it anywhere because we've been trying to watch it
Oh, it's not
for
streaming?
years. Nope.
If it is, it's probably like one of those expensive
I
ones.
can probably get you a copy.
All right.
I'll get you a copy
All
of the
right.
stream.
So, Abby, you're doing that the whole 2 hours?
Yeah, it's on for 2 hours. I mean, I will
so-
also flip to Seventh Heaven according to my notes here.
It's the Halloween episode of Seventh Heaven. It says, plans are a fright for the Camdens. As Annie tries to scare up a costume for Ruthie, Lucy learns she needn't fear a town monster played by Richard Mall, and a nasty childhood memory haunts Eric. Meanwhile, Mary tricks the family so she can enjoy the treat of having the house to herself. Packed.
Oh, like packed so many storylines.
Richard Mall as the town monster. I'm because knowing that show and like what happened later in that show, a nasty childhood memory haunts Eric disturbs me.
Yeah.
For real.
Was it the dad like a
Yes.
creep? Yeah.
In that show was a
Oh,
dramedy. Like this sounds like a
was.
wacky. Like this show was not wacky.
No, it's real melodramatic and like with Christian undertone. Not even undertones. Like you
Yeah, it
know.
wasn't undertone.
Christian tones.
And there's that. Have you seen this guy on Instagram, Ryan? I know I've sent him to you, but he like rehashes kind of the plot lines of old Seventh Heaven episodes, and like he's just like, here's why this is so problematic, or whatever. Like when the youngest son tries to join a gang,
It's right.
and
Oh yeah, I remember that. And they have the weapons under his bed and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
yep,
It's like brass knuckles and
Nunchucks.
nunchucks.
Yeah. Gang members with nunchucks were a big problem in the 90s.
they were like,
Oh goodness, that's so
and
funny.
there's an episode where the mom admits she smoked pot.
Yeah, yeah. I smoked
Fantastic.
There had to be a warning at the beginning of that
Oh,
episode. I
absolutely, absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's right.
imagine. All right, so 7th
I
Heaven
wanna-
PCU.
Yep.
I want to also throw out a couple things. One, at 9 p.m. there's just videos on MTV, and I am all for just an open window of videos.
Yep.
And 96, like who knows what is playing
It's just
there?
TLC and that En Vogue and Salt and Pepper song.
Which I'm just there for, like 100%. Also, there's a show called Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Starring
Tom Rhodes.
friend of the pod from Orlando, Florida, comedian Tom Rhodes.
Yes.
Where he was a teacher. And so good.
I forgot all about
This is the
that
Halloween
show.
episode where all the kids dress up as him.
Yeah.
In this specific episode, Tom took particular umbrage with because he was like, can we stop having all the jokes revolve around my hair?
Yeah. Tom is a good guy. Have you had
Yeah.
him? He's
Oh,
great,
yeah.
dude. He's fucking
awesome.
great.
Yeah, Tom's the best.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and when he envisioned this show, they pitched it to him like Dead Poets Society. And
Yeah,
what he
it-
got was
Fantastic.
basically not even head of the class.
Not even.
No.
Yeah. Head of the class is more
It
cutting
was a
edge.
great show
Head of
too.
the class was great. Head of the class was fun.
Yeah.
Poor Tom Rhodes. Although he does say that the deal he got from that was why he was able to travel the world several times over, not have to worry about money for a while.
So not poor Tom Rhodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, this is so much fun. Talk Soup is on after that. Letterman's on. Like
Letterman's a
this-
special week. So this was when Letterman was going on the road. He was doing a week of shows from different cities each week for a month. And so this first week is Boston. So he did Boston,
Ooh.
Chicago, DC, and Miami. So it was 4 weeks of shows in different cities, and it was a really weird stunt. And I remember everyone being super psyched that he was doing the show in Boston because no one did a show here.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild. So did you go?
I didn't, but I remember watching it. So he did stuff with like, the Rupert kind of stuff, and he did a lot of like
okay.
remotes, and that was pretty cool. And then all week on Nickelodeon, it's Addams Family versus Munsters every night
Oh yeah.
because it's Halloween. So between those two, like that's a damn good week.
That's why there's no Dick Van Dyke. I was looking
Correct.
for Dick Van Dyke. Man.
There's also another made-for-TV movie on NBC that night called Her Costly Affair.
Yep. Very excited about the Brian Austin Green
The
aspect
bag's in
here.
it. The bag is in it, as is Bonnie Bedelia. To win his teacher's heart, he'll do anything, even seduce her daughter. Her costly affair, a deadly twist to student-teacher relationships.
I would like to talk about the eyes that Brian Austin Green is making
Yeah.
in this advert.
And the smirk.
Just
Smolder. There's a smolder here.
there is
Yeah.
a smolder.
How tall is he?
He's tall.
Is he?
Is he?
I think he's tall. I think he's at least 6 something.
Because he's a hunk. But I imagine in my head him like when you like he's like so hunky and then he's like 5'6".
No, I think he's tall.
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's 5'8".
No.
Let's see what the internet says. 5'10".
Oh, all right.
So if that says 5'10", he's 5'8".
Yeah, you're right. God, I could have sworn he was at least 6 feet.
I could ask.
Oh,
I could
man.
ask Christine McCarthy, who would Christine Elise, aka Emily Valentine, who's an ex Boston punk rock kid, as she would.
Ken, do you know anything about the Ink show?
Yeah, Inc. It's the post Cheers show with Ted Danson.
Yeah, I never heard of this, but I am definitely on board. I don't know if that's anywhere or if it got more than one season.
That show is why I had Ted Danson on this show.
oh,
Because
wow.
also as a cast member on Inc. and a writer was Jonathan Katz. And so Jonathan became really good friends with Ted Danson on that show, and he's the one who introduced me to Ted Danson because of the show Inc.
Oh, so much connective tissue
It really
here. I
is.
love it.
It really is.
I love it.
I want to use the phrase "her costly affair" as like a code, like use it in a manner that it's code for things, but all the time be like, "Well, after her costly affair." Just see what people think I'm talking about.
After her costly affair,
They'll be like,
a deadly twist to student-teacher relationships.
which is about time because there was the same old all the
Yeah.
time. I love this ad that on the next page, which seems like a parody of Fox. This seems like something that would be on The Simpsons, and it says, "Non-stop Fox. Have you ever seen a man swallow a red-hot light bulb, cord and all? You will tonight, and that's just the beginning as people perform the most incredible acts ever seen on television on Wow, the most awesome acts on Earth 2."
I love that it's number 2.
Yeah, you don't have to have seen the first one to know what's going on.
That's one of those things where it's not on my list, but now that you say it, I'm like, there's no chance I'm missing that crazy. And it's all filler. It's
God.
like all build up. But when we come back from the commercial break, he'll swallow the light bulb. And it's just like that until the end. And then it's like, they'll show like the turtle with 2 heads or some shit like that in the beginning just to keep you in. And yeah.
Act is so like from the 1800s, so like 1800 Carney acts, and on 1996 they're like headline primetime entertainment.
Oh, because all the people programming are like, hey, do you guys remember the circus? Let's do that.
Excellent. I also forgot about the show Savannah. That was a sultry nighttime soap starring Jamie Luner of Just the 10 of Us fame. It took place in Savannah, Georgia, and it was all like, Tennessee Williams kind of like, oh, it's too hot kind of stuff.
Sultry.
Sultry. Yeah. Where is this? Oh, and this was actually interesting. Oh, you know who hosts most awesome acts on Earth too? John Ratzenberger.
Oh, that is
Fantastic.
Among the highlights, a woman enclosed in a box lights a stick of dynamite. Sledgehammers pound an anvil on a sword swallower's chest, and an equilibrist leans over a cliff's edge in a chair balanced on 2 drinking glasses. Equilibrist. Wow. Time to get new business cards.
Equilibrist. All those people are doing halftime shows for the Boston Celtics right now.
Sure you can swallow swords, but can you get your chest pounded on by a sledgehammer with an anvil on it while you have a sword in there?
Oh man, how do you discover you can do that?
Yeah, that's a really weird thing to practice.
Yeah.
But interestingly, they're dumping a pilot here as a made-for-TV movie, and it's an attempt to do a show version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I think is a show currently and has been several movies.
Is.
So this is something they've just been pushing.
I got really happy about Scott Bakula and went, how did I miss this?
You're not alone.
Same. But also, like, what was the original? It had to be like a 50s.
I think it was a 60s movie.
60s movie that they just keep kind of.
Yeah, so husband and wife spy team is the brief.
Apparently, the Donald Glover one on Amazon is okay.
Oh, he's in the
That's what
Scott
I hear.
Bakula role?
Yeah, he's
Brad Pitt role.
He's in the Bakula role. His last name is Donald Blackula
Yeah.
in the show. Yeah.
He's back. He's Blackula. Scott Blackula, who just
And Maria Bello too, like in that ad.
if someone found out that they've made an all black cast version of every Scott Bakula thing, with just this guy,
That sounds like a Wayans Brothers
it
film.
does sound like a Wayans Brothers
Yeah.
film. Maybe we could pitch it to them. They'd do it. They made Little Man. Come on, they'll do anything.
And White Chicks.
I think Little Man's worse than White Chicks.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Both problematic now? Maybe?
Oh God, yeah.
100%?
Absolutely.
But I think they're both terrible.
Yeah. I think those came out like I think I skipped those
You're a good man.
in the theater. Did you see those, you guys?
Not in the theater, but
They were like
mean-
on.
You sought it out?
Yeah, I
on
didn't
video?
seek them out. Joanna Man, though.
Oh.
That I did see in the theater.
ooh, fair.
Yeah. Tuesday, before we get to the lineup, we got another grid ad that features a 30 cent off any Micro Magic product. It's Garfield for microwave burgers, fries, and fish sticks. And it says, tell us what you think, and we'll send you a free Garfield Super Kids magnet and a $2 coupon. We want to know how your family likes Micro Magic burgers and fries. Simply draw and complete the face below any way you like. And then mail it, Grand Rapids, Michigan. So don't even write like what we think. Like just be like sad, like happy. This is in a pre-emoji world.
Yeah. That is amazing. And fish sticks. Like
Gross.
Did you guys like fish sticks? I never
Never did.
It's something always rubbed me the wrong way
They make
about
great
fish
fish
sticks.
tacos. The Gordon's crunchy fish.
Yeah.
That's what America's Test Kitchen tells me. Are you familiar with Micro Magic's most infamous product?
No.
And this is real, they had a microwave milkshake.
I'm not okay with this.
I still don't know how it worked. It came out as like a frozen milkshake that you would microwave. I imagine it was just cancer.
Yeah, loads of preservatives. So it was like it was ice, and you put it in, and it would kind of, and then you then you mixed it up. That's wild.
I remember my uncle rather would have them all the time, and he also ate what do you call them, steakums constantly. So
Oh, I remember
Steakums.
let's see. Hold on.
Ew.
I wanted Steakums to be
Yeah,
good.
there's an ad where they're literally putting. I'm gonna put this ad into the chat here. They're literally putting like a McDonald's style milkshake in a microwave, and then they drink it. I don't know how this works.
Is your uncle still with us?
Mostly. Yeah, he would just eat steakums. Do they even sell steakums still?
I don't think so. Oh,
I don't know. Again, these are things that I have a 9-year-old daughter. I would never give these to her.
How can you make a frozen milkshake with a microwave like this? It's against the laws of nature.
It sounds like a bit. It sounds like it sounds like some like April Fool's bit from the company.
Like cooking
you know?
those pizza rolls in the VCR is more plausible than this.
side note, Steakums are still available at your local Walmart.
Oh, well, there you go.
Of
Like I was
course,
about saying.
of course.
I would have thought Dollar Tree. That seems like a Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
does.
Those Garfield snacks are definitely at Dollar Tree.
Yeah. Steakums, I feel like the box, they came out like tissues.
Yeah.
It was like roast beef tissues. Oh,
Yeah,
gross.
I remember my sister making those, and I wanted them to be good. And you really had to load up the seasoning because they were just real bland.
Yeah. What's the point of even having them?
And real, like, stringy and, like, yeah.
Imagine what kind of meat that is.
The same stuff they used to make the McRib.
Ooh, don't you dare.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, so this issue is October.
So-
October, November is McRib territory. So I'm every night of the week when in '96 I'm eating McRibs.
Did you
here.
guys have like a designated fast food night in your house where it was like, I'm not cooking on Thursdays or whatever we usually order?
Every night.
Oh, was it? Was it fast food every night at home?
It wasn't fast food, but some kind of. My
Takeout?
parents were very busy and they weren't around much. And they were like, "You're not allowed to use these, so make this stovetop can of stuff."
I was a big
Yeah,
mac and
it's like-
cheese guy. That was when I
Yeah,
could
lots of
handle
mac and cheese. I ate a lot of spaghetti.
beefaroni?
it. Beefaroni. Beefaroni
Yeah.
is amazing to me because it sounds like the name of the John Belushi ripoff character in a Bad Animal House ripoff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh man, we should make that film.
Beefaroni. Bagel pizzas were big.
Yeah.
French toast sticks. We always had those in the freezer.
Do you guys remember Kid Cuisine?
Oh, yeah.
The like
Yep.
TV dinners or breakfasts
bunch
they
of
had
those.
too.
The
Oh,
TV dinners that they still make, which have like enough sodium to kill you by opening the box. The turkey dinner ones used to have this cherry cobbler dessert in it, and that's all I want. I want them to sell just that cherry cobbler, and it's like impossible to find.
Oh man, we have a lot of work to do
really
after
do.
this. We gotta bring back some products. We have
Yep.
to pitch a Chef Boyardee cinematic universe.
Yep. Beefaroni and his rival is the
Yeah, starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
there would 100% be a Stroganoff joke in there.
and a hamburger helper joke.
Yeah, it writes itself. So Tuesday night, which is this actual Halloween? No, October 29th, Tuesday night. There's a lot more Halloween content. What'd you guys do?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, so I'm starting with Disney's Halloween, and probably going back and forth between that and Goosebumps, but Jaws and The Fly are also on. So this is a Tuesday. Started off for me as Tuesday might be tough, but no, it is tough because there's so much on. Thompson Square on Comedy Central, which had a ton of Lounge Lizards. My So-Called Life is on. There's Tuesday is I think the heavy hitters for me are Disney's Halloween and Goosebumps.
Yeah. And you have the Halloween episode of Roseanne, which has guest appearances by Joanna Lumley and Jennifer Saunders playing Patsy and Adina for Absolutely Fabulous.
Oh man.
I love that show.
Oh.
And I don't know if you saw this, but the Goosebumps has wraparound hosted segments presented by Doritos. Fox Halloween Horror Nights live from Universal Studios, Florida.
Yeah, this is a whole family event. This is water cooler the next day or water fountain in school. This is big time.
So would kids go and I don't know if you can look over the fence at these places, but would they be like, oh my God, do you have a liar in school? Would be like, I went by Universal and there was a box and I got on it. I don't know why he's from Boston. And I saw the fucking Goosebumps guys and they were like, yo, you look cool. Why don't you come hang out with us? And I hung out with a bunch of Doritos.
There was definitely that guy, but if you lived, you knew you can't get close. Universal, all the production was in the park, so you had to get in there.
Gotcha.
And then you could totally take them down a peg by being like, who drove you, Pat? You know?
Yeah, because you couldn't just, he wasn't like, I rode my bike. No, my
Yeah.
stepfather bought me a mini bike.
At least not from where we were, but there is actually a high school located directly outside of Universal Studios.
Really? That's
it's it's just right across this 4 or 6
That
lane
seems
road.
cruel.
It is. That's what I said.
Yeah,
I
you
would
can
just
see
be
the
like,
roller
you can
coasters and
see
shit.
them from
Yeah.
the school.
A high school right
but-
across the street from an amusement park is just like, oh, you're going to skip school?
Yeah, I mean, those are bougie kids anyways, so they probably, they have
Nerds.
weekend passes. They're cool.
Nerds.
You know who went to that school is Eddie Huang.
Oh, classic Eddie Wong school.
Yeah. Yep, that's the one. And I'm sure, who else went there? Johnny Damon went there.
That was Eddie Wong's second school.
Second school because he got kicked out of Mandy Moore's school.
Oh, what do you do? at
No,
Mandy
he
Moore's
didn't go to Mandy Moore's school.
One of those. Trinity?
Yeah, he went to Trinity.
Ah.
He sold things he shouldn't.
Bootleg passes to Universal Studios Florida.
Probably.
I think it was porno or something.
He was really good friends with my brother-in-law. So like in the TV show and in the book, when he talks about like the only other Asian kid at school, that's my brother-in-law.
That's funny.
That's so
But he
much-
doesn't have
again,
anyone
so-
playing him.
No, because he got permission to use him in the memoir, but nobody ever talked to him about the show.
Oh,
so.
you just got him over a barrel. He should get some money. He should make
Oh,
them pay
man.
him in ceramic unicorns. Untraceable is the perfect crime. Yeah, this is a good night. The Fly is a great movie. It's one of the few movies I threw up watching as a kid.
That was my pick for the night, was The Fly.
So sad. The older I get, the more sad I feel about The Fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, why?
Well, because it's so sad. Because Cronenberg, it's actually about his father dying of cancer.
Oh,
So it's
yeah. No, didn't know
and
that.
like his dad even had 2 canes and stuff. But because you just see this person like fall apart, and someone who loves them has to like deal with it. It's just like so. And in the end, when he's like putting the shotgun to his head, and oh my god, brutal.
Oh man. Well, thanks for. Well, I'm gonna stick with Jaws now.
Jaws
Well,
is
I
actually
also-
about AIDS. No,
Like, I would also like to point out that Spin City was on that night,
I
and
freaking
I
love Spin City.
love Spin City.
It's great. It still holds up. I don't know if you've
It does.
rewatched it, but it's so funny.
Such a good show.
What episode?
Is this the Michael J. Charlie Sheen
Yeah, Charlie
joint?
Sheen took over later, but yeah, Michael J.
Yeah.
Fox is the deputy mayor. Really funny show, super smart, like just funny, good character show. It's on opposite Homeboys in Outer Space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this a Halloween episode? Nope. Oh god, this sounds bad.
Is News Radio on around this time too?
Yes, I believe so. It's on Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Do I have it on Wednesday? I don't
Also,
know.
Burning Zone is on, which was a weird post-apocalyptic, like action horror sci-fi show that
Oh, I never saw that.
it was strange. It was about like there's people get this disease where they just kind of catch on fire, and it weirdly had a bunch of cast members from Twin Peaks in it. So in this particular episode, Grace Zabriskie and Dana Ashbrook is in it for no apparent reason. So this one, Dr. Kaysen believes he's doomed by a deadly fast-acting bacteria after incurring a mystery woman's knife slash. Sold.
So, yeah, that is fun. Which makes me also think, do you guys remember spontaneous combustion being a thing?
I was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
It's right up there with Quicksand now,
Yep.
Yeah.
and the Bermuda Triangle,
Yep.
I thought I was going to worry about this way more.
It's
and
weird
being
that it
on
just
fire
went
in
away.
general.
Like, like, oh, we solved for that. How? I don't know.
Wait, so you were obsessed
Oh
with
yeah,
it?
like I used to like I'd get books out. There was this guy who was obsessed with recreating it through science experiments, and his theory was human fat is actually incredibly combustible, but only in a liquid state. So his theory was that somehow some amount of fat in the human body for a moment becomes a liquid, and the body heat from the person's body itself ignites it. So it would burn very quickly, very fast. And he did all these experiments with poor pigs. And it worked, but also he couldn't explain how someone's fat would become liquefied for no reason. It's just like, all right, I got it. Except the first part that it relies on is bullshit.
Wow.
Because the other theory, ball lightning,
Oh, okay.
which was theory for a lot of things.
What about the people inside?
Ball lightning does strange things.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought most of the people inside fell asleep with a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, they'd be like, I don't know what happened. I mean, he was on oxygen and he smoked, but it's just out of nowhere.
Yeah. I thought it was the lady in the box with the dynamite
Yeah.
from the other
Yeah.
page.
But luckily they have a guy on the show who can eat fire. He's like, I got this.
I got this.
Wednesday, what are we doing?
Wednesday's a good day. Wednesday it has news radio, which is not my go-to. I will flip to it and we can all laugh at Joe Rogan, who still looks the same, but I'm going 90210 Party of Five.
It's the Halloween fun.
Done.
Val's got a few
Period.
tricks up her sleeve, and is the Salinger house haunted?
Yeah, I'm 100% on that as well. On the commercials, I maybe flip into like what the Tick, Hocus Pocus, something like that.
Oh, on Fox Family, yeah.
But you're right. It is 90210, like just the peak, and maybe downward peak, and then Party of Five, because I had
Our
JLH
girl is on
Jennifer
Party
Love
of
Hewitt
Five. Exactly.
was everything
Oh,
to
I
me
love
when I
her.
was a kid.
Love her.
She's still everything to me.
Yeah.
Kidding me?
She's every
She
woman
was
to me.
dating Jamie Kennedy. She sold his merch at a show once, and I felt really sad.
I like to ignore those
But
times.
man, he was dating above his weight class there.
Absolutely.
My God.
I love her so much.
There's
So yeah, that's me.
She has a book
oh
coming out.
nice. I've tried to get her on the show. I failed. There's a couple of Halloween, like this is a little tough. So I believe this episode of Beverly Hills 90210 is the episode with the Cramps that Christina Elise wrote. This is the Halloween episode with the Cramps in it, who had made their national television debut only a couple months before this, appearing on Conan O'Brien. So the band had been around for 20 years before they got on TV. They were on Conan O'Brien, and a couple months later were on Beverly Hills 90210 playing in the Peach Pit. I believe
After
it's
Dark.
this episode.
Oh my God, that
called
makes
the
me
Peach Pit
even
After Dark.
happier.
PPAD.
Get it right or pay the price. Oh,
Who also
man.
saw, I believe, the Flaming Lips also played
Yep.
at the Peach Pit After Dark.
Indeed, they did. Also, MTV is showing the Halloween episode of My So-Called Life,
Which is
Okay.
fantastic.
Which is so
I
good.
own all of that on DVD.
featuring a friend of the show, Juliana Hatfield, as a ghost. Oh no, that's the Christmas episode. Sorry, it's what's his name? The ghost. I can't remember his name.
Of Christmas.
Yes, Ghost of
Past.
Christmas Past. There's also something called Halloween on Ice.
Yeah, I have that too.
Features Nancy Kerrigan.
I wrote TNT Halloween on Ice ? Meaning I'm so curious what the hell that is.
I mean, I imagine it's just them skating dressed like pumpkins.
To like the Monster
Yeah,
Mash
or
and
like
shit.
Night on Bald Mountain or something.
It's, the Cramps on 90210, man,
Yeah.
it doesn't get much better than
Well,
that.
Cinemax is showing A Return to Salem's Lot, which is the sequel, which is Larry Cohen, Michael Moriarty is in it, and director Sam Fuller is acting in it as a Nazi hunting vampire killer. They give it 3 stars. It's Tara Reid's cinematic debut.
Add it to the list.
It's a pretty crazy movie. Like Sam Fuller, I don't know if you've ever seen any Sam Fuller movies, but he directed like a bunch of 50s like noir and like crime movies like Shock Corridor, and he directed The Big Red One, which is like probably the best World War II movie ever.
Okay.
Amazing guy.
Oh, wow.
He's from Worcester, Mass. He was the nation's first crime reporter. So he basically invented being a crime reporter. And then he became a director, and for no discernible reason, he is acting in this movie. He's about 5'2". He's got a Luger, and he's like, "I took this off a damn dead Nazi." And he's got a huge cigar, and he's like so out of fun. It's just amazing. 80-year-old guy.
The cigar the whole time.
Whole time throughout the movie, he's like Howard the Duck.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Sam Fuller, amazing. Yeah, that's a fun, weird movie. And also The First Power, the Lou Diamond Phillips possession horror movie that's real bad,
I love LDP.
Yeah.
but he's good in it. And Townies is on at 8:30.
Townies is good too.
I saw that. And I saw Public Morals.
Yes. Stephen Bochco's
which-
comedy show.
Yes, which all in the ad says 8, but it's not until 9:30
Yeah.
because of something with programming. And what's the other guy in
Donald
it? Hold
Logue.
on. Yeah, there you go. It's like, oh, I mean, and then if you read, there's like a little excerpt about it. I forget on what page, but it like kind of knocks
Yeah,
it
it's
a
on
little
page
bit.
101 of the PDF. It says, debut. Stephen Bochco
Yeah.
says he has taken, quote, a lowbrow approach with his new comedy about a New York vice squad. That, quote unquote, approach ignited a firestorm. Critics objected to the body language in the pilot, and some CBS affiliates vowed not to air it. Although Bochco describes the show as, quote, kind of raunchy, he contends that the furor stemmed from the fact that the sitcom was, quote, coming out of his company and that CBS has historically been considered the most conservative network. In any case, the notorious pilot has been replaced by a less controversial episode in which the officers try to close down a bar serving underage customers.
That's why it was moved.
Yep.
And that show, if it came out in like 2005, would have had 5 seasons.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, because basically he was like, look, you guys love NYPD Blue. What if we do a show that's just the comedic elements of that show? So
Yeah.
people were like,
I'm on board.
None of us asked for this. And he's like,
It's
"You're
like
getting it."
Brooklyn Nine-Nine before,
Yeah,
you know?
I am curious to
Precursor.
check this out. I always liked Donald Logue. This is when he was in the heart of doing the Jimmy the Cab Driver MTV interstitials.
Oh, man. It makes you think of The Tao of Steve, which is a
yeah.
fantastic movie.
So Rachel and I once were taking a cab from Somerville, where we lived, to Logan Airport, and we had Jimmy the Cab Driver, who is an actual guy that Donald Logue based this on because he went to Emerson College, and he got this, and it was him. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy looks like Jimmy the Cab Driver. He talks just like him, and we look at his license, and he's Jimmy the Cab Driver. So
Oh, my God. That's insane. I can't wait to, again, after this, I'm watching all those commercials.
There's one where I was falling asleep. I'd have the sleep timer on my TV, and I was just about to go to sleep, and the tail end of one of them, he'd always have like a really weird line when it would like be the black screen and the MTV logo. And he goes,
Yeah.
I just love that song. You know, it makes my legs go crazy and my penis shoot pee-pee. I was like, I woke up laughing,
Fantastic.
and I was awake for like hours.
Oh, man. That's so good. And it makes me so happy that guy had a career, like a decent
Oh,
career, you know?
Yeah. He is an investor in a series of bars in LA with Greg Dooley from the Afghan Wigs. They own like 5 or 6 bars.
That's insane. What's the bars called?
One of them's called like the Black Cat. Most of them in like Silver Lake.
Okay.
But yeah, Dooley is apparently can be seen at those occasionally.
Man.
It's a good night. Is that everything on Wednesday? Are we on Thursday?
I think we're on Halloween.
Halloween.
Thursday's Halloween.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was too hard.
It was very hard.
I just
I,
like every movie ever.
Yeah. Although Dick Van Dyke Diagnosis Murder, not a show I would be like, we got to watch on Halloween. This episode, it says, a deadly militia group has a new target, and his name is Dr. Sloan. The Halloween episode of Diagnosis Murder is a militia group is hunting Dick Van Dyke, and guest starring Tracy Gold from Growing Pains.
I did see this, and then I went down a Tracy Gold rabbit hole when you sent this to us, and I was like, oof.
Yeah,
Is this on the other end of her
very much so.
eating disorder? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, all the
Okay.
movies are on, but like you got the must see TV, so it's single guy, everybody's favorite. The reason everyone tuned into Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I was thinking of that one, too. I was like, I don't remember this, but Jonathan Silverman, Joey Slotnick, I'm like, I would definitely, interested without a doubt. Seinfeld,
Seinfeld,
Friends, the flashback episode. Also right before that, I noticed two things. One, mid-90s Sports Center is comedy gold. And then, I don't know if you noticed, this is about the time I noticed that BJ and the Bear is on every fucking day.
On TNN, I think.
The Nashville Network? That's what it was, right? BJ and the Bear Kid.
One of
oh my
two
goodness.
shows with a theme song sung by Greg Evigan.
It's mind-boggling how you know
The
this.
second being My Two Dads.
Oh, you would have never.
That was a great
I'm
show.
BJ McKay, and this is my best friend Bear. It's the same one as You Can't Count on Me.
Now I hear it. Oh man. Okay, so we're still on Thursday, right? Yeah, Friends, Single Guy, Seinfeld.
So not going the Halloween
And-
route.
No, because it's prime. It's like what's it called? Must see TV.
But you got the Halloween episode of Martin, and more importantly, the Halloween episode of Living Single.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm here to talk about in our generation. The Martin specifically was super hyped, and it was like one of the shows I watched out of like peer pressure.
I didn't like it.
But now, even looking back, I wasn't into it. That might be controversial
I
to
agree.
say.
I didn't like it. I thought the him being Shanae was too broad. I thought Tisha Campbell could have done better than him on the show. Like literally, I was like 14, and I was like, she can do better. I don't want to see this. But Living Single was fantastic.
Yes.
Living Single was a step above. Absolutely.
It's Friends.
It's a 90s kind of world.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I've got my girls.
Yeah, I concur. Yeah, Secret World of Alex Mack, Halloween episode, Haunted House. Then you got Predator 2, which I prefer to the original Predator.
I saw that too. I saw that as well. Anything Danny Glover, I'm on board.
Poltergeist, Halloween.
Poltergeist, yeah. So I feel like I would have gotten to those, but again, I'm going back and forth between young Ryan and current Ryan's just so excited for the must-see TV.
So it's Halloween. You guys are 14. Did you go out that year? Do you remember? Because that's in this weird time we're talking about where you're like, I watch cartoons. Like 14's like kind of the cutoff trick or treat thing.
I don't know that I went trick-or-treating, but I know I like put spray color in my hair and like wore a lot of black
I'm
and
a
thought it was
punk.
super cool and like went out. And then probably like stole candy from my little sister.
Because Orlando was very spread out. So was it like trick or treatable?
yeah, then we had neighborhoods and like pocket neighborhoods as well. I feel like we always just went to the better neighborhood. So I lived in apartments, and like on the other side of the highway it's all highways and shopping centers. On the other side of that was like, I say better, but who knows now? And yeah, that's where you trick or treated.
The Norm
Real Houses.
Norm Macdonald's show Norm has a Halloween episode, and it's the only episode of a TV show I can remember that shows kids trick or treating in an apartment building. And it strikes me as how weird. I'm like, that's probably a lot of people's experience, and this is the only show I've seen it in.
Yeah, and it made me, when I lived in New York, it made me think of that. I was like, what do fucking kids do? They go to like businesses.
Best Halloween
we
costume
did.
you guys had, Abby?
Oh, my mom made me the Queen of Hearts,
Oh,
like a playing card one year, but she like got actual like nice cardboard and hand drew like the back of a card,
nice.
like all the design and stuff, and then hand drew all the front stuff and like hung it over me like a sandwich board.
That's pretty good.
That's very good. Maybe not the best looking in retrospect, but my favorite was Ghostbusters. Right around, this is like 92, around the cartoon, and it was like plastic on plastic mask.
Yeah, oh, they
plastic.
smelled so weird.
Oh, you had
and
the
they
Ben
were, like,
Cooper.
probably
yeah.
It was probably from the grocery
Yep.
store, like
You were in a garbage bag in a plastic thing that the string is too tight and it cuts into your head, and the eye and mouth holes are somehow sharp.
never right place. Yep.
somehow sharp.
And always like up here would get me
Yep.
on those.
You just it was just weird
Yes.
rash and cuts on your face.
But I remember loving it because I loved the Ghostbusters.
Which
like
Ghostbuster
the
were?
cartoon. Who was the blonde
Egon.
one in the Egon? That's who it
That's
was.
what I was gonna
and I'm
guess.
sure. I could find some photographs of me standing in front of like a tree in that plastic getup.
My favorite Ben Cooper costume I had was Oscar the Grouch, and the plastic that was the garbage can. Yeah, I was a big fan of that one.
Is that what those costumes are called?
There was two companies that made those. There was Ben Cooper and Collegeville. Collegeville didn't get the licenses a lot, so some were Collegeville would have like those, but it was like clown. But if you had like Rainbow Bright, Strawberry Shortcake, Star Wars, like that's Ben Cooper. And there's all kinds of amazing websites of the weirdest Ben Cooper costumes. Like there's an Asteroids Ben Cooper costume. There's a Rubik's Cube. And because they'd buy these licenses, they'd have to buy them in like, the spring before shows were on for cartoons. They'd have to gamble on what will be a big show because they got to make these things. So a lot of times there's like super obscure kids shows that have Ben Cooper Halloween costumes where the show was canceled like a month before Halloween even.
Oh man, I'm blown away by your knowledge of all this. Did you read like a book about 80s Halloween costumes?
I find the Ben Cooper Company particularly fascinating because Jack Kirby, if you know what Jack Kirby is, he worked for Ben Cooper before he worked for Marvel. Between when he created the Captain America in the 40s and when he came back to work for Marvel in the 60s, he worked at Ben Cooper designing costumes. And there is a spider costume from the 50s that's basically Spider-Man.
Oh.
So there's like all these weird connections, but yeah, Ben Cooper is a pretty fascinating company.
That's wild. It also makes me think of a question probably for our pod is, did you have a place in any of your homes growing up where it's like that was the designated picture spot?
Oh, yeah.
Either outside or inside?
We had an outside and an inside because of weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. The inside, for some reason, it was in front of the front door, which is not a particularly good spot. And the outside was in front of this rhododendron we had in our front yard.
Oh man!
So I have a picture of me in front of that one with a Super Soaker 200. I got on clearance.
You're like posing like this.
Don't mess with my rhododendron. Also, a very special Halloween ER.
Oh yeah.
This is a brutal episode.
Oh no! Is it like?
I mean, every episode of ER is
razors?
pretty brutal.
Is it razors and candy or something?
An 8-year-old trick-or-treater and her dad fight for their lives after they've been involved in a hit-and-run accident. Meanwhile, Ross and, I can't read that one, get a jolt of life on the streets when they man the roving health mobile. Yeah, this one's rough. But then they advertise it. They go, frights, freaks, tricks and treats, tonight, Halloween in the ER. It's not...
Oh. Look at
So is
George.
Clooney still on it?
Clooney's on
Yeah.
it. Margulies, Anthony Edwards.
Margulies, yeah.
Yeah, ER, I always say this, but I put it in the category of fantastic show, never want to see it again.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I get that.
And then final night of the week, Friday night. November 1st.
I want to be cool
Disappointing.
and pretend I'm going to like watch Unsolved Mysteries and also like Silence of the Lamb is on there. But let's be real. I'm going to watch TGIF and then right after that I'm going to go to MTV. I'm going to hang out with Chris Hardwick,
Chris Hardwick's guest starring on Boy Meets World as well.
which is
Oh.
see what
I
I'm
didn't
saying?
even see that.
Like I
Wow.
really wanted to pretend I was cool and be like, oh, I'm going to watch Silence of the Lambs. And then I was like, TGIF is on, so we know where I'll be.
This is a great era of Unsolved Mysteries. This is when Unsolved Mysteries have
was.
been usurped by sightings. So they leaned into the more bullshit stories. So this one, Robert Stack's still hosting it, but his heart is not in it. And this one
not
is
there anymore.
Man or Martian? Did life on Earth begin on Mars? A startling new theory emerges. Of course, like it's a complete bullshit. Like,
And even Robert Stack's little headshot in the advertisement, he's just like, I am so done
oh
with
yeah, he
this.
has like a, can you believe this shit? Kind
That
of
face. I can't believe I'm still here.
his face. Yeah, that's bad. And then Sliders also.
Oh yeah, Sliders.
I don't think I ever watched that one.
It's not great.
Okay.
Robert Stack looks like an old lady.
Yeah, he definitely does. He definitely looks like you sat down at his slot machine when he went up to get a cigarette. You didn't know that the marker he left on it was his.
The butt.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I'm so we had Fred Armisen on our podcast. We asked him a question about something we ask every guest is who would you a musician live or dead who you would bother given the chance. And he brought up something interesting where he's like, do you go cool or do you go honest? I think what we're doing here is we're going honest, because I would also go, you got Family Matters, Boy Meets World, Sabrina, and I wrote The Weird Clueless,
Which is
Yeah, it was
great,
weird.
though.
which is like edgy and like cool looking back. I also have, I think it's the first or one of the first games Bulls Celtics are on a channel that's just SC
Sports Channel.
Sports.
I mean, I don't remember Sports Channel.
It might have been New England, because this is a New England edition. It might have been a New England sports one, because it's a Celtics game.
Yeah. Okay. And then I would definitely check in and out of, but I like that you said Chris Hardwick, check in with Chris Hardwick. I would check in with Jenny McCarthy. And, you know, you're a boy 14. That's what you're watching.
I mean,
I
girl
mean,
14.
You
Same thing.
You overlooked
Yeah.
this one, Abby. Guest star on Sabrina the Teenage Witch that night. The bag. Brian Austin
I did
Green.
see that.
She's got a
I
dream
did.
date.
So I'm just saying, this week has been good for me and Brian Austin.
It really has.
Like this.
Oh man. And then Sports Center at 11, and then there's some Dennis Miller thing that he breaks down like politics, which
this is before he
Yeah,
went
I
nuts.
remember that.
yeah, and this is like when they were just like, let's give Dennis Miller anything
Mm-hmm.
for an hour on a Friday.
HBO was like, anything Dennis wants. He could have.
Yeah. And it's real fun. Same with PCU. There's not a week that goes by where I don't go, okay, babe. All right, babe.
When I
And no one gets it.
when I had
ever.
Daniel Frischman on, who was on Head of the Class, he revealed something that I've never heard anywhere else, and that's he used to do stand-up at the late night slot in New York with Dennis Miller in the 70s, and Dennis Miller was a prop comic.
Shut the front door.
Yes, he was a prop comic,
I don't know why that bothers me so much.
but it's kind of amazing.
Is there? I like need to see
Yeah, he said
this.
one of the things he would do is he'd get like a record out, and then he'd sing through the little hole in the middle and be like, "Stop, you know, like that kind of
This is
stuff.
just like Tom Arnold, though. Same thing. Tom Arnold's telling us about his stand-up, and he brought fucking goldfish, not the crackers,
Yeah.
actual swimming fish.
Tom.
I guess everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah. What a sweetheart.
I have a good story about me and Tom and Robbie Williams that I'll share with you later.
Did you tell us that on
might
our
have.
pod?
I might have.
Maybe. I mean, we talked about Tom because it was right after
Yeah.
that we had you, and you had a bunch of Tom stories, and we agreed he's a sweet sweet
Yeah.
dude.
And very few people have made me laugh as much as that dude. Buzzkill is on Millennium.
Oh, yeah.
Millennium. This is the second or third episode of Millennium, which was a really cool show.
What's that guy's name? He's like the
Lance
knockoff
Hendrickson.
Glenn Scott,
Scott Glenn.
right? Scott Glenn.
Sorta. I mean, Lance Hendrickson always plays more of like an edgy character. Like he's in Near Dark and Stone Cold, the greatest
Yeah.
action film of all time.
Yeah,
Aliens. He's Bishop. So he played a character named Frank Black. Yes, named after the Pixies, Frank Black, by Chris Carter from the X-Files. And this show was about he's a consultant for police who kind of hunts serial killers, sort of a Will Graham kind of thing. He gets in their minds and whatever. But he works for this group called the Millennium Corporation. And he actually doesn't even know what they do. And they're like this shady group that's actually trying to bring about the apocalypse. But like he doesn't know that. And it gets really weird. It was a great show. People hated it.
Oh man. It was a great show.
They
People
really
hated
did.
it. I remember it coming like it was like the next X Files, and again, so like I said in the beginning, not yet a woman, not a girl anymore. you know, that's how
Yeah, I
the
think
turn
that's
of
it.
phrase goes. This is around like my focus changed around this time. As 14-year-old boys' focus tends to change. It's less, you know, pop culture, you know, consumption and more girls. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah, you're flipping through Skinamax and you want to see that kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Or, you know, just in real life too.
Oh, that was an option.
I wanted it to
Things
be.
are different
I don't
down
think
there,
it
man.
was as as realistic as I remember. Oh
So
man.
that is the week, but to finish up here, as you know, TV Guide is not just informative, it has opinions and it cheers and it cheers. So I'd like to read you both the cheers and jeers of this week, Halloween week 1996. See if you agree or disagree. Split week, 2 cheers, 2 jeers. We'll start with a cheers. Cheers to fast autos and the dolls who drive them. Who needs actors when, as a current Nissan ad proves, G.I. Joes and Barbies can whet consumer craving just as powerfully? In the super cool spot, a stud muffin boy toy spins over to pick up a high-fashion doll face as a Van Halen cover of The Kinks' You Really Got Me helps put him on the pedal to the metal. An all-too-perfect Ken clone mopes as the erotic auto tryst leaves him in the dust. Their greed, their materialism, their very skin, the trio are so plastic that we're not sure that the commercial creators are actually saying anything about real people who would want to buy this car. Let's not think about it too hard, though. No, instead, let's imagine what happens next in this Madison Ave Toy Story. We see Midge just around the bend, complicating the scenario. Who wrote this is a pervert.
And a poet.
Yes. A pervert.
A pervert. A pervert and a poet. I'm on board. I remember this commercial vividly. And yes, I agree.
The Van Halen cover of the Kinks.
That's not the Van Halen song I'd pick either for that, really.
No. I mean, I would agree.
I also liked
I'll
it was
agree
toys.
based on the like pure cheese factor.
The disturbing line for me is, instead, let's imagine what happens next.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, I gotta go. I'm getting my coat. Then we have a jeers to changing one's spots. Over the past few years, Roseanne has undergone a bewildering evolution from an iconoclastic, bracingly realistic blue-collar sitcom to an outlandish and indulgent farce. We trace the problem back to the 1991-92 season when the Connors visited Las Vegas for a cameo by Wayne Newton. Since then, Roseanne has grown increasingly starstruck and silly, parading a raft of extraneous celebrities from Morgan Fairchild to Blues Traveler. I think they don't say John Popper's name. They're like, his name's Blues Traveler, right? To Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
This season, with the Connors winning a $108 million lottery jackpot, the once proud flagship of the working class has gone completely La La Land, a disjointed, high-camp vanity production for its namesake. Roseanne has tried to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear and ended up with a grotesque hybrid.
Okay, first, is that a saying that I am unaware of?
Oh, silk purse out of a sow's ear?
Yes.
Yeah. It is, and it's an old person saying.
Okay. I'm going to agree with this simply because it was not good. And
That's a bad season.
also I have all this now knowledge of Roseanne
Sure.
that's probably feeding into it a little bit. So I'm trying to keep that separate. But I do agree. I thought it was too showy.
Story behind it was she bought the American remake rights to Absolutely Fabulous, and they did a pilot, and ABC passed, so she was like, well, fuck you, I'll just turn Roseanne into Absolutely Fabulous.
Which it wasn't because I love Ab Fab all
And
day.
they almost redeemed it with that episode that's now not canon, but the one where we find out Dan died 2 years ago and the whole thing was a fantasy.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's like a fever
Yeah.
dream.
It's a downer of a last episode. Like, it is.
What?
It really pulls the rug out
It
from
is
under you.
not good.
I really want to say that whoever wrote this, as a writer, I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. And poetry. I agree with, the Roseanne part, but man, TV Guide coming with some like great writing.
Oh, yeah, and they use big words. I've had to look up words in Cheers and Jeers. It's never signed, but Then we have Cheers to Johnny Carson's quiet act of kindness. We don't hear much from the retired talk show titan, but he has been practicing his noblesse oblige without fanfare. Just ask Faye Gordon, a grade school teacher whose 100th birthday party was made all the more memorable by a surprise visit from her most famous pupil. Or ask the family of the late game show host Ray Combs, who, if people remember, committed suicide. He was hosting Family Feud, who received an unexpected gift of $25,000 from the Tonight Show host after Combs' suicide this summer. An intensely private man, Carson couldn't avoid the publicity his generosity inevitably generated, but he certainly didn't seek it. In fact, much to the frustration of the mic-wielding imitators he's left behind, the king of the chat circuit refused to talk about being Mr. Nice Guy at all. That sounds like a PR person.
I mean, I feel like it does.
Yeah, very
It does.
pressy.
But I mean, I guess you could have cheers. You did some cool stuff.
Is it bad that I'm like 25 grand? All right, cheapskate.
Well, and like also he hosted. Did he not have his own money?
I'm like, what? Like, he hosted Family Feud.
It's kind of a weird gift,
Like,
right?
what is $25,000 gonna do?
Like what? Yeah, why don't you just like buy the headstone or something?
Like, that's almost insulting. Like, do you think
Now it's a little
maybe
weird.
Carson bought the headstone and it says survey says?
It says ghost.
Survey says ghost.
Survey says boo. Yeah, I'm gonna say PR. Like, let's see how many publications we get. They just sent that out on the wire,
Yeah.
hoping someone would pick it
Yeah.
up.
Stop taking my picture. Stop. No,
Oh.
I really don't want you to. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Yeah. So, the category is things that might be on a gravestone. Boo. Show me boo.
0.
Show me Frankenstein. Here lies Dracula.
You have to think that odds are there is someone clever enough to put boo on.
Probably.
Right?
You would hope.
We asked a
so.
question recently, and this is a fun question for you, Ken. How many people do you think have 311 tattoos in the world?
It'd be funny if it was exactly 311.
That was yes.
Like, someone goes in and they're like, I want a 311 tattoo, and the tattoo artist gets this like registry out and he's like, nope, sorry. When one dies.
Yeah, wait for someone
We're
to
maxed.
die.
Yeah. God, I hate 311.
We're seeing them on Saturday.
Oh, do you guys like them?
We got a soft spot.
Oh man, they just.
It's a part of a whole thing too. It's not just 311.
Here, I'm gonna.
Who else is playing with them? Lit.
No, Sublime and Goldfinger
Sublime
Oh, Sublime with the kid singing.
with the kids. Yeah.
with the kid.
You're in my bedroom.
So here, this is what I'm going to tell you about 311 is that, okay, before the rap rock heyday, 5 years maybe, there was a band that also had reggae in it. And again, it didn't, maybe you were just like 2 years too old for it, but it didn't, scratch where you itch.
No, because if I went reggae, I was going Bad Brains.
Okay, fair enough.
And also, this was like the ska, third wave ska had already been huge here, so I was like already over it.
Yeah.
I was a musical dickhead in 1996 at 16.
Oh, yeah, snobbery.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Kidding me?
I think I have my snob phase, and I've learned to go back and embrace it.
I was such a music snob that they would assume I worked at the record store.
Oh, man.
Finally, jeers to jokes that are light years old. The writers of the NBC sitcom seem to be obsessed with Star Wars. One episode of Friends was built around sexual fantasies about Princess Leia, a little too kinky, not to mention scary for us. A few weeks later on Suddenly Susan, a suitor uses a strange pickup line on Brooke Shields. Say there, you're as tall as a Wookiee, aren't you? Last season on News Radio, Joe, played by Joe Rogan, disclosed his good luck charm, a figurine of Boba Fett, the intergalactic bounty hunter. A Boba Fett fetish? Gee guys, even though a major re-release of the trilogy is planned for 1997, the force of these references can stay with us only so long.
They have no effing clue what's about to happen.
That the whole Cheers basically just says, "Cheers, nerds."
Yes. And it's
Nerds.
written differently. You know, like some guy, they're like, "Hey, Frank, you take this one," and he's usually on sports. They have no idea of the reference in like how. That's when like Star Wars was like fringe,
Yeah.
like nerddom, like it was
Sure.
like over there. Disagree.
But weirdly, is a subtle promotion for the re-release of the movies in a few months.
Yeah, and the Friends episode and Suddenly Susan.
Yeah.
I want to know why it's scary.
That is weird. Like, she's a pretty lady. Why is that scary? Was Carrie Fisher considered scary in 1996?
I don't know. Yeah, that's
A little weird, yeah. And we don't know who wrote it, so we can't go back and
And-
ask them.
publicly shame them.
Yeah, like why were you scared of Princess Leia in 1996?
It was Joe Rogan wrote it.
Yeah.
I'd say I have to disagree a little
Yeah.
bit too.
I don't
Like,
even like Star Wars, and I disagree.
you know?
Yeah. Oh goodness. I paid for Phantom Menace with pennies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The whole movie that you did the budget for the entire film with pennies. You're executive producer.
You did?
It was shot on.
I mean, it's only worth about 58 cents.
It was on
so.
digital, so they saved some.
It was cheap.
Yeah. Universal City Walk, Orlando, $6 in pennies.
Nice. That's 600 pennies, I think. Or at
What
least
a-
it was then. I don't know
What an
inflation-
asshole.
Did you at least have them in rolls?
I did.
Well, that's not that bad then.
Yeah, but like, imagine rolling up to a movie theater right now and be like, I would like one. They don't even have people at the thing.
No, you just walk in. They're not going to stop you.
Yep. Walk in, no one's gonna. There's no one there.
No.
You can make your own popcorn.
Yeah. Did you know that it's illegal to melt down a penny?
No.
Because the copper in a penny is worth far more than a penny. Which is why they keep trying to get rid of them, because they lose money when they make pennies, because copper's gone up. So you would think, oh, why wouldn't you just melt down a bunch of pennies and then you have
Sell
this
the
scrap
copper, yeah.
But it's a federal crime,
Whoa.
even though it's their own damn fault. Like
That
seems, yeah.
Let's try that. How would they know?
I think so. I don't know.
I mean, if you
I don't
sold
wanna
it to
test
like,
it.
no, I'm too lazy. I don't have what's it called, a kiln or some shit.
I think
like
I think smelting's involved.
that? Smelting. There you go.
Smelting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There goes the neighbor again, smelting
Oh, jeez.
in the cul-de-sac.
So I roll up. This guy's fucking smelting pennies. In a cauldron like he's a fucking witch.
I think the Boston accent is it's like when used correctly is comedy gold.
Oh, I do too, but I'm biased, obviously.
Yeah.
It always gets me.
It's good. I like you've used it at the perfect amount too. It's bravo.
Explaining like fictional stories in it is like
Yeah.
movie plots or things always gets me. But like explaining them like you were there or heard it from somebody.
Yeah, and doing bits with it like the copper. There's this guy. I can't even do it. So
I don't know, is there a discernible a South Florida accent?
I've been told when I'm other places that I talk funny, but not. Maybe I just talk funny.
That's because of the falsetto.
Yeah, there.
You're like, the altitude's different here. I don't talk like this at home.
Yeah.
Well,
this is how I
thank
sound.
you
in my
guys so
head.
much for doing this. We'll have to do this again. Congratulations on 200 episodes. Also, I implore you, turn back before you end up at 700 and you go, what have I done with my life?
Oy vey, man. I mean, I speak for both. We're just in it to befriend people we love, like we look up to, such as yourself. Like that's how we get people. Is we go, oh, we like that song, or we like this person. We're like, how do we find them? We find their PR person, or we do like a deep dive on social, and we just politely ask.
Yeah.
And we've gotten some good names, and we've both said we've had a lot of people come to us and be like, you should do this and promote it this way or boost it this way. And that's when it becomes a job. And
Yeah.
it's not a job. It's very fun. And again, we get to ask very stupid questions to very smart people, such as yourself and Tom Arnold and Tiffany. You mentioned Tiffany. She's
Yeah,
been on the pod. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, same here. I had the same exact motivation and approach.
And we have the same mindset with it. Like, we'll do it until it's not fun.
Yeah.
And then we'll pull the plug, and hopefully someone does a retrospective podcast documentary in 20 years, and they'll include yours, and we'll watch it.
I always said my fame goal will to be a talking head in documentaries about people I know
Oh,
who are
man.
successful.
I would watch those.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Oh, that's a great goal. I'm right there with you. I hope they have a list, and way down here is me, and they're like, well,
Yeah. We already got the crew. And he's bringing his own mic pack. I don't know.
he's bringing those goddamn headphones from Paul Abdul.
I guess he lands planes.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, perfect.
Dude, we can't thank you enough. This is dream
Of course,
come
you're
true.
welcome. This is so fun. Yeah,
And we'll
the show.
I just had this brilliant idea. We should have you back on ours. But we got to think of some really good questions like Funko Pop. I wrote some down. Designated picture spot. Donald Logue roles. We could keep going.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm always game.
Oh, wait. One more question. What's your
Yes.
favorite Ron Livingston film? Go.
Oh, yeah, Office Space.
Okay. I think that's correct.
Yeah, although it's not a film, but my favorite role is Townies.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Swingers, I would put maybe number 2.
Never liked it.
Never liked Swingers.
Here's a funny swinger story. 2006, I invited myself to the HBO Aspen Comedy Festival because my friends the Walsh Brothers were in it. And so I go out. Amazing. It was the 10th anniversary of Swingers.
Okay.
96, right? So they put them up, and I stayed in it in a condo at the foot of the mountain in Aspen, and I had a hot tub. And my wife called me, and I said, "Oh yeah, we're in the hot tub, and then we're going to a swingers party," because they were having a party for the 10th anniversary. And she was like, "Okay," and then I was like, "Bye," and then realized later that sounded weird.
Yeah. Speaking of rattlesnakes,
Can't end it better than that.
dude, this has been epic.
Florida's own. It's not orange juice. It's Abby and Ryan from Bothering the Band. Go to botheringtheband.com or wherever you listen to this podcast, you can find theirs as well. Listen to all 200 episodes of their show. You won't be disappointed. I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of other podcasts, mostly because I'm just sick of listening to voices after recording this show and editing it. It takes me about 4 hours for every hour of show that you hear released. But I do listen to Bothering the Band. It's very, very fun. I love their show, and you will too. Happy 200th to them. Happy almost birthday to me. Happy June to you. And we'll be happy next week for a brand new edition, maybe 2, of TV Guidance Counseling.
I played tennis with Gavin Rosdale once.
Does your VCR not cook pizza rolls? Mine did. I paid extra for that.